The bleach hit my paintings with a sound I'll never forget, like rain on a hot sidewalk. Except it was the sound of 5 years of my life dissolving. I watched in frozen horror as the chemical spread across my canvases, eating through oil paint, destroying layers of work, erasing the exhibition that was supposed to change my life. Amateur trash, my brother's girlfriend Vanessa screamed, wielding the industrial-sized bleach bottle like a weapon, splashing it wildly across the gallery walls. This isn't art, it's pathetic, just like you, Maya. The Riverside Gallery was packed for my first solo exhibition. 37 pieces representing my journey from homeless teenager to emerging artist. Each painting told a story of survival, of nights spent in shelters, of finding beauty in broken places, and now they were melting, running down the walls in chemical streams. What Vanessa didn't know, what her rage had blinded her to, was the small tripod in the corner with gallery director Sarah Ming's phone mounted on it, broadcasting live to Instagram. The red recording light blinked steadily as 50,000 viewers watched my life's work being destroyed in real time. "Someone stop her," a voice called out, but everyone seemed frozen, whether from shock or fear of the bleach still flying from the bottle. I finally found my voice. "Vanessa, please, stop." She whirled on me, her designer dress now splattered with bleach stains. "You think you're so special?" Josh can't shut up about his talented sister, his genius sister, his sister who's going to be famous. What about me? I'm the one with a degree from Parsons. I'm the one who should be having exhibitions. Josh, my older brother, my protector, my biggest supporter, stood in the doorway, his face white with shock. He'd gone to get champagne from his car for the toast. He'd been gone for 3 minutes. 3 minutes was all it took for his girlfriend to destroy everything. "Vanessa," he dropped the champagne, bottle shattering on the gallery floor. "What have you done?" "I did what someone should have done years ago," she screamed. "Shown everyone that your sister is a fraud. Look at this garbage. Street scenes? Homeless people? This isn't art, it's poverty porn." Sarah Ming stepped forward carefully, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Ma'am, you need to put down the bleach. What you're doing is a crime. You're destroying hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of art." "Hundreds of thousands?" Vanessa laughed maniacally. "For this?" "The large piece you just destroyed was already sold for $75,000, Sarah said calmly. "The buyer is watching this livestream right now." Vanessa's face went pale, but she didn't drop the bottle. Instead, she turned to the painting that meant the most to me, a portrait of my grandmother, the woman who'd raised me after my parents died, who'd lived just long enough to see me get into art school. It was the only painting I'd never sell. "No," I whispered, moving toward her. "Please, not that one." She smiled then, cruel and satisfied, and threw the remaining bleach directly at my grandmother's portrait. The scream that tore from my throat wasn't human. I lunged forward, trying to shield the painting with my body, but the bleach had already hit. I watched my grandmother's painted eyes disappear, her smile melting away, the careful brushstrokes I'd spent 6 months perfecting dissolving into nothing. That's when someone finally acted. A man I didn't recognize tackled Vanessa from behind, knocking the empty bottle from her hands. Security rushed in, too late, always too late, and restrained her. "I want her arrested," she was screaming. "She attacked me. You all saw it. She's jealous because Josh loves me more than her." "Ma'am," one of the security guards said, "you just destroyed an art exhibition, on live stream, to 50,000 witnesses." Sarah Ming was at my side, pulling me away from the ruined portrait. "Maya, breathe. Look at me, breathe." But I couldn't breathe. I was watching 5 years of work drip onto the floor. Every late night, every skipped meal to afford paint, every rejection before Sarah finally gave me a chance, all of it was gone. "Ladies and gentlemen," Sarah addressed the shocked crowd while still holding me, "please give us some space. The exhibition is obviously cancelled. We'll be in touch with anyone who had purchases pending." "Wait." A woman stepped forward from the crowd. I recognized her from her photos. Dr. Elizabeth Morrison, senior curator at the Modern Art Museum. The woman who was supposed to change my life tonight with an offer for a permanent collection spot. "I'd like to say something." She walked to where Sarah's phone was still streaming, addressing the camera directly. "I'm Dr. Elizabeth Morrison, curator at MAM. I came here tonight to offer Maya-chan a spot in our permanent collection. What I've just witnessed isn't the destruction of art, it's the birth of something more powerful." She turned to face the crowd, then the camera again. "Art isn't just what hangs on walls. It's the story, the struggle, the artist's journey." Maya's work depicted survival and resilience. What we've just witnessed is her living that truth. The woman who destroyed these paintings has actually created something she never intended, proof that art matters, that it provokes, that it has power. She looked directly at me. Maya, every piece that was destroyed tonight will be recreated, not by you, you'll create new work, but by forensic art restoration specialists who will use the livestream to rebuild what was lost. And both versions, the destroyed originals and your new work, will be displayed at MAM. This isn't the end of your story, it's the chapter that makes you legendary. Vanessa started laughing hysterically. You're going to reward her for this? This garbage? Josh finally found his voice. Vanessa, you just committed a felony. On livestream, you destroyed hundreds of thousands of dollars in art because you were jealous. Jealous? Of her? She's nobody, a foster kid who got lucky. She's my sister, Josh said quietly, and she's more talented in her little finger than you'll ever be. The police arrived then, taking statements. Watching the livestream replay, Vanessa was arrested for felony vandalism, destruction of property over $100,000, and assault with a caustic chemical. The last charge was added when they realized I had chemical burns on my hands from trying to save my grandmother's portrait. As they led her away, she screamed at Josh, "You're choosing her over me?" "I'm choosing the person who didn't destroy my sister's life work out of jealousy," he replied coldly. "We're done, Vanessa, your stuff will be outside my apartment by morning." The crowd slowly dispersed, but not before many of them approached me with business cards, offers of support, and promises to share the story. The livestream had gone viral while we were still standing there. #Justice for Maya was trending. Artists around the world were posting their own work in solidarity. Sarah Ming surveyed the destroyed gallery, then turned to me. "Insurance will cover the full value. Every piece was documented and appraised. You'll be compensated." "It's not about the money," I whispered, staring at the spot where my grandmother's portrait had hung. That painting, it was all I had left of her. Actually, a young man stepped forward, holding a professional camera. "I was photographing the exhibition for Art Week magazine. I have high-resolution images of every piece, including your grandmother's portrait. Every brushstroke, every detail, they're yours." Dr. Morrison pulled out her phone, showing me the Instagram live replay. "Maya, look at the comments. Thousands of them, scrolling too fast to read. This is heartbreaking, but she's going to come back stronger, buying whatever Maya creates next. The girlfriend just made Maya famous worldwide. This is why art matters. Team Maya forever." "Someone start a GoFundMe now." "There's already a GoFundMe," Sarah said, checking her phone. "It's at $200,000 and climbing. People want to support you." Josh knelt beside me, tears streaming down his face. "Maya, I'm so sorry. I had no idea she was capable of this. She seemed supportive of your art." "She called it amateur trash," I said numbly. "She was wrong. She was jealous. You're brilliant, and she couldn't stand that I was proud of you." Dr. Morrison's phone rang. She answered, her eyes widening. "Yes, she's here. Yes, I'll tell her." She hung up and turned to me. "That was the Guggenheim. They want to acquire your story, the destroyed works, the documentation, the recreation process, everything. They're calling it Destruction and Rebirth, the Maya-chan story. But there's nothing left to acquire," I said. "That's where you're wrong," she said. "The Bleach damaged canvases are now part of the story. They're artifacts of an attack on art itself, combined with the livestream, the restoration process, and the new works you'll create in response. This is bigger than an exhibition. This is art history happening in real time." A woman approached with a tablet. "Maya, I'm Detective Rivera. We need you to watch the livestream to verify events for the prosecution." I watched my exhibition die again on the small screen, but this time, I noticed things I'd missed in the moment. The way people had gasped when they realized what was happening. The way strangers had moved to protect other paintings. The way Josh had looked when he walked in, not just shocked, but heartbroken for me. "She planned this," Detective Rivera said. "We found searches on her phone about bleach and canvas, about how to destroy oil paintings. This was premeditated." "Why?" I asked. "Why would she plan this?" Josh answered quietly. "She applied to show here last month. Sarah rejected her portfolio." Sarah's head snapped up. "Vanessa Morse? The one who sent those derivative fashion photographs?" "That's her," Josh confirmed. "She didn't tell me she'd been rejected. She said she was too good for a small gallery. So she destroyed my exhibition because she couldn't have one?" "Jealousy makes people do terrible things," Detective Rivera said. "But in this case, it's going to cost her. With the value of the destroyed works and the premeditation, she's looking at serious prison time." The next few days were a blur. The story went international. Major news outlets picked it up. The security footage and livestream were played countless times. Art critics wrote pieces about the performance art of the destruction, even though it wasn't intended as such. Vanessa, from her jail cell awaiting bail hearing, tried to claim it was performance art, that she'd been making a statement about privilege in the art world. No one believed her, especially after her jealous rants were broadcast to millions. The GoFundMe reached $500,000. Artists sent me supplies, canvases, offers of studio space. The photographs of my destroyed works were published in a memorial catalog that sold out in hours. But the most unexpected response came from other artists who'd been sabotaged by jealous partners, friends, or family members. They shared their stories, their destroyed works, their journeys back to creation. We became an accidental community, bonded by loss and resurrection. 3 months later, I stood in the Modern Art Museum at the opening of Destruction and Rebirth. The destroyed canvases were displayed in specialized cases, the bleach damage preserved behind protective glass. Next to each ruined piece hung a monitor playing the livestream of its destruction, and beside that, my new interpretation of the same subject. The centerpiece was my grandmother's portrait. The destroyed version looked like a ghost, her face eaten away by chemicals, only hints of what had been. The new version was larger, bolder, painted with a fury and love I hadn't known I possessed. But the most powerful element was the third piece, a collaboration with the forensic restoration team, showing the old painting emerging from the destroyed canvas, like a phoenix from ashes. Vanessa had pled guilty to avoid trial, 3 years in prison, plus restitution I'd never see. Josh hadn't spoken to her since that night. He stood beside me now at the opening, still apologizing months later. "Stop," I told him, "you didn't do this. I brought her into your life. And she brought me here." I gestured to the packed museum. "Look around, Josh, would any of this have happened without that night?" Dr. Morrison approached with a couple who looked familiar from art magazines, mega collectors known for their contemporary art collection. "Maya," Dr. Morrison said, "I'd like you to meet the Hamiltons. They've just acquired the entire Destruction series for their foundation." "Including the grandmother portrait?" I asked, my heart sinking. "I'd hoped to keep that one." "Mrs. Hamilton smiled. "All except that one. That stays with you. But we'd like to commission a companion piece, your grandmother as you imagine her now, watching your success. She'd be horrified." I laughed through sudden tears. She hated attention. "But she'd be proud," Josh added, "so proud." The exhibition was a massive success. Every piece sold. Museums competed for future works. I went from unknown artist to art world sensation, the woman whose work was so powerful it drove someone to destroy it. But late at night, in my new studio, funded by the GoFundMe, I sometimes thought about the original paintings. They're gone forever, despite the reproductions and restorations. Those specific brushstrokes, made during specific moments of my life, can't be recreated. Vanessa took those from me, but she also gave me something, proof that art matters, that it can drive people to extreme actions, that creation and destruction are two sides of the same passionate response to beauty. I'm painting my grandmother again now. In this one, she's standing in the gallery, watching Vanessa destroy the first portrait, but she's smiling, because she knows what I know now, that sometimes destruction is just transformation waiting to reveal itself. The painting is called Thank You, Vanessa. She'll hate that when she gets out of prison and sees it in the permanent collection of the Modern Art Museum. But then again, she already hates that I became everything she wanted to be, not despite her destruction, but because of it. The bleach stains on the gallery floor are still there. Sarah Ming refused to remove them. She says they're part of history now. Tour groups stopped to see them, to hear the story of the night jealousy turned to rage, rage turned to art, and art turned to triumph. And every time I walk past those stains, I remember the sound of bleach hitting canvas, the smell of chemicals eating paint, the sight of my grandmother's face disappearing. But mostly, I remember the 50,000 strangers who watched it happen and said, "This matters, she matters, art matters. That's worth more than any painting. Even mine."
The moment you hear family laughing at your expense, something shifts inside you. It's like watching a glass fall in slow motion. You know the crash is coming, but you're powerless to stop it. I'm Peyton, and I used to be the family charity case. At least, that's what they called me when they thought I couldn't hear them. It was Christmas Eve at Lucy's new condo, the one I'd secretly helped her get by covering the security deposit. I was in the kitchen, scraping plates into the garbage, like the good little helper I'd always been, when their voices drifted in from the dining room. God, it's so sad watching Peyton pretend everything's fine. Lucy's voice carried through the swinging door. Did you see that clearance rack dress she's wearing? At least she showed up to help with cleanup, Susan chimed in. Poor thing probably needs the leftover food. I froze, fork suspended over a half-eaten slice of the honey-glazed ham I'd paid for but wouldn't take credit for. Remember when she tried to start that online business? Lucy's laugh cut sharp. What was it, jewelry or something? Scented candles, Samuel corrected, his usual silence broken by the need to join the mockery. Lasted about 2 months before she came asking to borrow money again. My hands trembled as I gripped the counter. They had it all wrong. Those candles had been my cover, a deliberate failure while I funneled every spare dollar into my first property investment. Well, what do you expect? Susan sighed with practiced pity. After her father died and her mother, well, you know, some people just aren't built to handle life's challenges. The plate in my hands clattered loudly against the sink. The voices hushed immediately. Peyton? Lucy called out. Everything okay in there? I steadied my breath, painted on the smile they expected. Just dropped a spoon, I called back. Don't worry about it. Do you need help? Susan's voice dripped with the same concern she'd used when telling everyone how she'd saved me by letting me crash on her couch for 2 weeks 5 years ago. The same couch I'd later paid to replace when her kids destroyed it. I've got it covered, I replied, my voice eerily calm. You guys enjoy your coffee. The chatter resumed, but softer now. I stood there, hands submerged in soapy water, and felt something crystallize inside me. Every anonymous utility payment, every borrowed sum I never asked to be repaid, every silent rescue when their cards were declined, it all rushed through my mind. They didn't feel guilty for taking. They felt superior for it. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A notification from my real estate management app. Another property's rent payments had cleared. The irony almost made me laugh. Need help with those dishes? Alina appeared in the doorway, my only true friend and secret business partner. She took one look at my face and knew. They were talking again? She whispered, grabbing a towel. I nodded, mechanically washing another plate. They think I'm still that broken girl who needed help after Dad died, the one who couldn't handle life. Alina dried a wine glass, one I'd bought Lucy last Christmas. Maybe it's time to show them who you really are. No, I said, a plan already forming. It's time to show them who they really are. The laughter from the dining room swelled again. I picked up another plate, this one still holding traces of the meal I'd partially funded. Every bite they'd eaten, every gift they'd opened, every comfort they enjoyed, so much of it traced back to my quiet generosity. You know what the worst part is? I whispered to Alina. I kept helping because I thought eventually they'd see me differently, see me as family. And now? I dried my hands, checked my phone again. Another notification. The duplex on Oak Street had just appraised for double my purchase price. Now I'm done being their tragic little charity case, I said, straightening my clearance rack dress, the same one I'd worn to close a 6-figure deal last week. It's time they learned what real charity looks like. Lucy's voice carried through again. At least Peyton's good for something. Who else would help clean up? I smiled, but it wasn't the meek expression they were used to. This smile had teeth. Who else indeed? I murmured, pulling up my banking app. Lucy's mortgage payment was due soon, the one I'd been anonymously covering for months. My finger hovered over the transfer button. Time to let some bills go unpaid. Time to watch their house of cards collapse. You sure about this? Alina asked, knowing that look in my eye. I deleted the scheduled payment and slipped my phone away. They wanted a charity case, I said, pushing through the kitchen door. Let's see how they handle being one. You're telling me you want to buy this dump? Cash? Charles leaned back in his worn office chair, eyeing me with a mixture of disbelief and curiosity. The same building where your cousin Lucy lives? I nodded, keeping my expression neutral as I studied the property records spread across his desk. The numbers make sense. Numbers, sure, he chuckled, running a hand through his silver hair. But family? That's messier than any balance sheet. 3 years earlier, I'd been sitting in a different office, listening to Alina explain how to turn my savings into something bigger. Real estate isn't about buildings, she'd said. It's about seeing what others miss. I'd started small, a rundown duplex that the bank wouldn't touch, worked overtime at the coffee shop to fund repairs, lived on ramen while learning to fix toilets and patch drywall. My family assumed I was barely surviving. Perfect. Your cousin's been late on rent twice this year, Charles continued, interrupting my thoughts. Her husband lost his job at the firm. I know. I'd gotten the tearful call from Lucy herself, had listened to her sob about how unfair life was while I signed the paperwork on my 4th property. And you still want to buy? I pulled out my checkbook. I want to make you an offer. The door opened and Alina walked in, right on cue. Sorry I'm late. Traffic was terrible. She set her briefcase down and gave Charles her most professional smile. I see Peyton's already started without me. Charles straightened up. Everyone in real estate knew Alina's reputation. You're working with her on this? Peyton's one of my most promising investors, Alina said, sitting beside me. She has quite the portfolio already. I watched Charles reassess me, his eyes moving from my simple clothes to the numbers on the papers before him. Good. Let him see what everyone else missed. Show him, Alina nudged. I pulled out my phone, opened my investment portfolio, and slid it across the desk. Charles's eyebrows shot up as he scrolled. Well, I'll be damned, he muttered. How did you... While they thought I was failing at selling candles, I was learning the market, I said. While they pitied me for working 3 jobs, I was building capital. And now you want their building? I want a sound investment, I corrected. The fact that my family lives there is incidental. Charles sat back, a slow smile spreading across his face. You know what? I like you. Reminds me of how I started. Everyone thinking I was nothing while I bought up half the block. He pulled out a contract from his drawer. I was going to list this place next month, but for the right price and in cash. He slid the paper toward me. Make me an offer. 2 hours later, I walked out of his office with a signed purchase agreement. Alina followed, shaking her head. You really want to do this? She asked as we reached her car. Once you start down this road... They're already talking about me behind my back, I said. Might as well give them something real to talk about. My phone buzzed. A text from Lucy. Emergency family dinner tonight. Please come. Need to discuss something important. Perfect timing. I showed Alina the message. Want to bet it's about Samuel's job? You know they're going to ask for money. They always do. I typed a quick reply. Of course. I'll bring dessert. That evening, I sat at Susan's dining table, watching Lucy dab at her eyes with a napkin while Samuel stared at his plate. We just need a little help, Lucy sniffled. Just until Samuel finds something new. The landlord's threatening to raise the rent, and with the baby coming. I nearly choked on my water. Baby? We just found out, Lucy managed a weak smile. But with everything else... Susan reached over to pat Lucy's hand. Family helps family, right, Peyton? I felt their eyes on me, expecting, assuming, judging. They thought they knew exactly what I could and couldn't offer. Of course, I said softly. Family helps family. Later that night, I sat in my home office, looking at the building purchase contract. With a few clicks, I created a new LLC, one that couldn't be traced back to me. Then I drafted a notice to all tenants. Rent would increase by 30% in 60 days. My phone lit up with a text from Alina. You okay? I thought about Lucy's tears, about Susan's practiced concern, about all the times they'd laughed at my expense while taking my help. "I'm fine," I typed back. "Just reviewing some investment opportunities." I looked at the sonogram picture Lucy had passed around at dinner, then at the eviction notice template on my screen. My finger hovered over the keyboard. Family helps family. But sometimes family needs to help themselves. I started typing. "Can you believe this?" Lucy slammed the rent increase notice on the brunch table, making the mimosa glasses rattle. 30%, with no warning. I carefully buttered my toast, keeping my expression concerned. Around the table, my family members exchanged worried glances. It was Sunday brunch at Susan's, a tradition I'd normally skip, but today was too important to miss. "Who even are these new owners?" Susan demanded, scanning the letter. "Summit Valley Properties LLC? I've never heard of them." "Nobody has," Samuel muttered. "They won't even meet with tenants. Everything goes through their management company." I took a slow sip of orange juice. The management company, another LLC I controlled, had strict instructions about maintaining anonymity. "Peyton," Lucy turned to me, eyes pleading, "you work in that coffee shop near the real estate offices. Have you heard anything?" "Sorry," I shrugged. "Just that a lot of buildings are selling lately." "Well, we can't afford this increase," Lucy's voice cracked. "Not with the baby coming. And Samuel still hasn't found a new job. Have you considered moving?" I suggested mildly. The table went silent. Lucy's face reddened. "Move? From my home? Where would we even go?" "There are cheaper neighborhoods," I said, reaching for more toast. "You would know all about those," Lucy snapped, then immediately covered her mouth. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean—" "Yes, you did," I replied quietly. The table tensed. "But you're right. I do know about living within my means." Susan jumped in, ever the peacemaker. "Now, girls, we need to focus on solutions. Lucy, dear, your father and I could help with the increase for a few months." "That's so generous," Lucy wiped her eyes. "But it's not just the rent. The new owners are renovating the empty unit next door. The noise is terrible, and they work at all hours." I knew. I'd specifically instructed the contractors to start early. "Maybe," Lucy looked at me again, "maybe you could talk to them at your coffee shop? Just see if they'll be reasonable?" "I could try," I said, fighting back a smile. "Why don't you write them a letter? I'll make sure it gets delivered." Later that afternoon, Alina and I sat in my office reviewing the building's financials. "The renovations are running over budget," she noted, frowning at the spreadsheet. "I don't care," I replied. "The noise is worth every penny." "Peyton," Alina set down her tablet, "I get the satisfaction, but you're losing money just to spite them." "No," I corrected her. "I'm investing in my peace of mind." My phone buzzed. Lucy had sent a photo of her letter to the landlord. I read it aloud. "Dear Summit Valley Properties, I'm writing to appeal to your humanity. My husband and I are expecting our first child." Humanity, I laughed. Where was their humanity when they mocked me for years? "You know this won't end well," Alina warned. "Eventually, they'll find out." "That's the plan. And then what?" I opened my desk drawer and pulled out a gold envelope, my signature touch for important documents. "Then they'll learn what it really means to need charity." The next morning, I walked into my coffee shop shift like any other day. Lucy was already waiting. "Did you deliver my letter?" she asked, bouncing nervously. "Better," I smiled. "The property manager is coming in person today, to meet with you." "Really?" Her eyes lit up. "When?" I checked my watch. "Now, actually." I reached under the counter and pulled out the gold envelope. "They asked me to give you this." Lucy's hands trembled as she opened it. I watched her face as she read, saw the moment hope turned to confusion, then to horror. 60 days? She whispered. They're evicting us? "The letter explains why," I said softly. But the baby." Tears spilled down her cheeks. How could they be so cruel? I leaned forward. The same way you could laugh at family behind their back. The same way you could mock someone's struggles while taking their help. Lucy's head snapped up. What? I pulled out my building ownership documents and placed them next to the envelope. Surprise, cousin. Turns out the charity case was your landlord all along. She staggered back, face pale. You, this whole time, me, the one in clearance rack dresses, the one who couldn't handle life's challenges. I straightened my coffee shop apron. The one who owns your home. You can't do this, she whispered. We're family. Family helps family, right? I smiled. Consider this me helping you learn about consequences. Lucy grabbed the documents, hands shaking. Susan will hear about this. Everyone will. Good, I said, turning back to my coffee machines. Tell them their landlord says hello. She fled the shop, leaving the gold envelope behind. I picked it up, running my finger along its expensive edge. One down, one more to go. I pulled out my phone and texted Alina. Time to look at Susan's building. I'm feeling charitable. The banging on my door started at 6 a.m. I'd been expecting it, sitting at my kitchen counter with a fresh cup of coffee, watching the security camera feed on my phone. Open this door right now! Susan's voice carried through the wood. Peyton! I took another sip, counting down. 3, 2, 1. I know you're in there. Your car's outside. I walked to the door, smoothed my expression, and opened it. Susan burst in, her face flushed with rage, still in her morning robe. How dare you? She seethed. How dare you do this to Lucy? Good morning to you too, Aunt Susan. I closed the door quietly. Coffee? Don't play games with me. She jabbed a finger at my chest. Lucy's pregnant. She's family. Funny how family works, I said, walking back to my counter. Sometimes they help you. Sometimes they laugh while you're doing dishes. Susan's face paled slightly. What? Christmas Eve, I reminded her. Remember? Poor thing probably needs the leftover food. You heard that? I hear everything. I poured a second cup of coffee, pushed it toward her. Including how you tell everyone you saved me after Dad died, how you gave me a place to stay. I did. 2 weeks on your couch. I nodded, which I repaid by buying you a new one when your kids destroyed it. Remember that mysterious, anonymous gift? Susan sank onto a bar stool, her anger giving way to confusion. That was you? Like the money that appeared in your account when Tommy needed braces? Or when your car broke down? I pulled out my phone, scrolled through years of bank transfers. Would you like to see the receipts? But you were struggling, working at that coffee shop. I own the coffee shop, I said quietly, and the building it's in, and Lucy's building, and yours. The coffee cup slipped from her hands, spilling across my pristine counter. I watched the brown liquid spread, remembering all the messes I'd cleaned up for them over the years. That's impossible, she whispered. Check your mail today, I said, tossing her a paper towel. There's a gold envelope waiting. Her eyes widened. No. Your building's been sold too, new owner. I smiled. Me. Susan stood up so quickly the stool toppled over. You can't. I've lived there for 20 years. Funny thing about property rights, I said, picking up the stool. They belong to whoever holds the deed. We're your family, she screamed. We took care of you. Did you? I stepped closer. Or did you just need someone to look down on? Someone to make you feel better about your own life? That's not true. Remember when I started selling candles? I pulled out my investment portfolio. While you were all laughing, I bought my first property. While you pitied me, I built an empire. Susan grabbed the papers, flipping through them frantically. These numbers? They can't be real. Very real, like your eviction notice. Her head snapped up. You wouldn't. Wouldn't I? I took the papers back. You taught me so much about family, Susan. About charity, about pity. Please, her voice cracked. Where will I go? There are cheaper neighborhoods, I echoed her words from countless family gatherings. I would know all about those, right? My phone buzzed, a text from Lucy. You're destroying this family. I showed it to Susan. No, I'm just showing you who really had the power to destroy things all along. She stumbled toward the door, then turned back. Your brother. Brendan will hear about this. Brendan? I laughed. The one who hasn't called me in 2 years? The one who believes your version of what happened after Dad died? He'll come back, Susan threatened. He'll stop you. Let him try. I opened the door for her. The gold envelope explains everything. 60 days, Susan. Better start packing. After she left, I called Alina. It's done, I said. Susan knows. And? And nothing. Just like Lucy, she only cares about herself. Peyton, Alina's voice softened. Is this making you feel better? I looked around my expensive apartment, at all the trappings of success they never knew about. No, I admitted, but it's making them feel exactly how they made me feel, small, helpless, at someone else's mercy. Your brother will come back, you know. Good, I said, cleaning up the spilled coffee. Then he can finally learn the truth, too. My phone buzzed again. An email from the property management company. Lucy and Samuel had asked for a meeting with the owner. Time to go play landlord, I told Alina. Want to watch? You're enjoying this too much. Maybe, I agreed. But they enjoyed watching me suffer for years. At least I'm being honest about it. I hung up and pulled out another gold envelope. Inside, I placed a single sheet of paper. Dear Lucy and Samuel, request for meeting denied. Regards, your charity case. Sometimes Karma needed a little help, and I was happy to assist. Remember this? I held up the wedding invitation, gold-edged and pristine, across the management office desk. Lucy sat opposite me, her mascara smeared from crying. Your perfect vineyard wedding? Peyton, please, she whispered. We can talk about this. Let's talk about the catering bill. I pulled out a receipt. $40,000. Your card declined, but mysteriously it got paid. Remember that panic? Samuel shifted uncomfortably beside her. That was you? That was me, like the honeymoon deposit, the emergency car repair, the Christmas gifts you gave everyone. I laid out each receipt. All me. Why didn't you tell us? Lucy's voice cracked. Would it have changed how you treated me? I leaned forward. Or would you have just found new ways to look down on me? We never. Last Thanksgiving, I cut her off. You told everyone how sad it was that I couldn't afford to contribute a dish. Meanwhile, I'd paid your property taxes that month. Samuel put his hand on Lucy's shoulder. We didn't know. You didn't want to know, I corrected. It was easier to believe I was pathetic, your little charity case. The baby. Lucy placed her hand on her stomach. Please think about... I am thinking about the baby, I stood up. I'm thinking about what kind of people I want raising a child in my building. What do you want? Samuel finally spoke up. Money? We'll pay you back. I laughed. You can't afford to pay me back, not with what I've spent on you over the years. My phone buzzed, a text from Alina. Brendan's flight lands tomorrow. Perfect timing. Here's what's going to happen, I said, pulling out another envelope. You're going to move out as planned, but first you're going to read this. Inside was a detailed accounting of every penny I'd spent on them over the past 5 years. Every secret payment, every anonymous gift, every miracle that saved them from financial disaster. Lucy's hands trembled as she read. This can't be right. This is hundreds of thousands. And that's just you, I smiled. Wait until Susan sees her list. You're enjoying this. Lucy looked up, realization dawning. You're actually enjoying watching us suffer. Almost as much as you enjoyed watching me suffer, I agreed. The difference is, I earned this power. You just took it. Samuel stood up suddenly. Come on, Lucy, we're done here. No, I said softly. We're not done until I say we're done. You've made your point, he snapped. You're rich. You fooled us all. Congratulations. Sit down, Samuel, I pointed to his chair. Unless you want everyone to know about those gambling debts I covered last year. He sank back down, face pale. That's better. I pulled out my phone, showed them the property management app. Now, let's talk about your neighbors, the ones who have to listen to construction at 6 a.m. I'm thinking of extending those renovations. Maybe a few more months? Why are you doing this? Lucy sobbed. Because I can, I replied simply. Because every time you laughed at me, every time you whispered behind my back, every time you used my supposed poverty to make yourselves feel superior, I was actually building the power to destroy you. My phone buzzed again. Susan this time. Brendan wants to meet with you. Your brother's coming home, Lucy said, wiping her eyes. He won't let you do this. I showed them the text. You mean the brother who hasn't visited me in 2 years? Who believes your version of events? Let him come? He's still family, Samuel tried. Family? I stood up, gathering the receipts. Family doesn't mock family. Family doesn't build themselves up by tearing others down. Family doesn't need to be bought. We're sorry, Lucy whispered. We were wrong. Yes, you were, I walked to the door. And now you're evicted. Funny how karma works, isn't it? After they left, I sat in the quiet office, looking at the stack of receipts. Years of secret generosity, of silent support, of swallowing my pride while they trampled my dignity. My phone rang. Alina. Brendan's asking questions, she said. He's been calling everyone. Let him, I replied, watching through the window as Lucy and Samuel crossed the parking lot. Let him learn exactly who his family really is. And then what? I thought about the final gold envelope sitting in my desk drawer, the one with Brendan's name on it. Inside was the truth about what really happened after Dad died, about who really abandoned who. Then he can choose, I said. But this time, he'll choose with all the facts. I hung up and watched Lucy's car pull away. In the distance, I could hear the construction crews starting early again, the sound of karma working overtime. Tomorrow, Brendan would learn the truth. But tonight, I had one more gold envelope to deliver to Susan. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just getting even. It's revealing who people truly are, one truth at a time. You look exactly the same, Brendan said, standing in my doorway with his worn leather backpack. 5 years in Europe hadn't changed him much. Same messy brown hair, same earnest eyes. You look tired, I replied, not moving to let him in. Long flight? Can we talk? He shifted uncomfortably. Lucy called me. Susan, too. I'm sure they did. I stepped aside. Come see how the charity case lives. His eyes widened as he took in my penthouse apartment, the floor-to-ceiling windows, the designer furniture, the view of the city I now partially owned. This is yours? All of it. I walked to the kitchen, poured 2 glasses of wine. Surprised? Peyton. He accepted the glass, but didn't drink. What happened to you? Funny choice of words. I sat on my leather couch. Nothing happened to me. I happened to them. They said you're evicting Lucy and Susan. He remained standing. Lucy's pregnant. I know. She mentions it every time she begs to stay. This isn't you. He shook his head. You were always the kind one, the one who helped everyone. I laughed, sharp and cold. Still am, just not the way they wanted. They told me you've changed. They told you a lot of things, I cut him off. Like what happened after Dad died? His face darkened. I know what happened. You had a breakdown. Susan took you in. Wrong. I pulled out my phone, played a recording. Susan's voice filled the room. We can't deal with her drama right now. Just keep her away until she pulls herself together. Brendan's face paled. What is this? The truth? Want to hear more? I swiped to another recording. Lucy this time. She's just looking for attention. Classic Peyton, making everything about her grief. Stop, he whispered. Why? This is what family does, right? They help each other. They support each other. I stood up. They don't abandon a teenage girl who just lost her father. I didn't know. Because you weren't here, my voice cracked. You ran off to Europe and they fed you their version. Poor unstable Peyton, lucky to have such supportive family. I'm sorry, he set down his untouched wine. I should have been here. But you weren't, so I helped myself. I gestured around the apartment. Every property, every investment, every dollar, I built it all while they laughed at my failures. And now you're punishing them? No, I smiled. I'm teaching them about consequences, about karma. By making them homeless? By showing them who really needed charity all these years. I walked to my office, pulled out a thick folder. Want to see how many times I saved them from bankruptcy? How many bills I paid? He took the folder, started reading. His hands trembled slightly. Jesus, Peyton, keep reading. There's a special section about what they said at every family dinner, every mockery, every joke at my expense. Stop. He closed the folder. Just stop. What do you want? Want? I took back the folder. I want them to feel what I felt. Helpless, dependent, at someone else's mercy. They're still our family. Are they? I moved closer. Where were they when Mom had her breakdown? When I worked 3 jobs to survive? When I needed actual family? I'm here now, he reached for my hand. Let me help fix this. I pulled away. There's nothing to fix. This is justice. This is revenge. Same thing. I walked to the window, looked down at the city. You know what the difference is between them and me? I earned my power, they just took it. Peyton, please. His voice softened. Remember when we were kids? How you always said family was everything? I remember believing that lie. I turned back. I remember thinking blood meant loyalty. Give them a chance. Like they gave me? I pulled out one final envelope. Gold, of course. Here, your copy of the truth. Every receipt, every recording, every moment they chose to hurt instead of help. He took it slowly. What do you want me to do with this? Read it, then choose. I opened my door, but choose knowing everything this time. And if I choose them, then you're just like them. I gestured to the hallway, and I'll treat you exactly the same way. He stood there for a long moment, envelope in hand, looking at the sister he thought he knew. You really won't change your mind? They didn't change their hearts, I replied. Why should I change my mind? After he left, I watched the sun set over my city. My phone buzzed. Alina. How did it go? Like expected, I said. He wanted to fix things. And? I thought about the look in his eyes when he heard the recordings. The shock, the guilt, the realization. Some things can't be fixed, I said. Some things can only be finished. Tomorrow, Lucy would start packing. Susan would follow. And Brendan, well, he had some reading to do. Family helps family. But sometimes, family needs to help themselves face the truth. The moving truck pulled away from Lucy's building at exactly noon. I watched from my car across the street as she stood on the sidewalk, one hand on her belly, the other wiping tears. Samuel loaded their last suitcase into their sedan while Susan hovered nearby, still in denial that her eviction would come next. My phone buzzed. Brendan. I read everything. Can we meet? No, I typed back. I'm busy watching karma in action. Lucy spotted my car, nudged Samuel. They both stared, but neither approached. Good. They'd finally learned. Alina's Tesla pulled up beside me. She rolled down her window. Enjoying the show? More than I should, I admitted. Come on, she nodded toward her car. I need to show you something. 20 minutes later, we sat in her office looking at my portfolio spreadsheet projected on the wall. You've crossed 2 million in net worth, she pointed to the bottom line. Congratulations, you're officially rich. I laughed, but it came out hollow. Funny, I don't feel rich. No? She turned to face me. What do you feel? Empty, I surprised myself with the honesty. Like I won, but the victory tastes like ash? More like, I searched for the words, like I became exactly what they always said I was. Cold, calculating, heartless. You're not heartless, Alina said softly. Heartless people don't feel empty after winning. My phone buzzed again, Susan this time. The movers are coming tomorrow. Please, just talk to me. I deleted the message without responding. You know what's strange? I said, still staring at my phone. I kept thinking revenge would feel better than this. More satisfying. Revenge is like cheap wine. Alina stood, walked to her window. Intoxicating at first, but the hangover's brutal. So what now? I just forgive them? No, she turned back. But maybe you stop letting them define you, even through revenge. My phone lit up with an email notification. From Brendan. I'm leaving for Europe again tomorrow. I understand now why you did what you did. But I don't recognize my sister anymore. Maybe that's the real tragedy here. Not what they did to you, but what revenge did to you. Love you always, B. I felt something crack inside my chest. He's right, I whispered. I don't recognize myself either. Alina sat beside me. Then maybe it's time to figure out who you want to be now. Without them, without revenge. Just you. How? Start by looking at that number again. She pointed to my net worth. You did that. Not spite, not revenge. You. I stared at the figure, remembering all the late nights, the careful planning, the strategic investments. I did, didn't I? So what's next? More evictions? More gold envelopes? Or something else? Before I could answer, my phone rang. The property management company. A tenant in one of my other buildings was 3 months behind on rent, facing eviction. Single mother, my manager explained. Lost her job. Asking for mercy. I thought about Lucy, about Susan, about all the times I'd needed mercy myself. What's her unit number? I asked. 7B. Want me to start eviction proceedings? I closed my eyes, saw myself in that kitchen on Christmas Eve, hearing their laughter, feeling small. No, I said finally. Set up a meeting, in person. Alina raised an eyebrow. Going soft? No. I stood up, gathered my things. Going forward. That evening, I sat in my empty apartment, looking at the city lights. My phone had been quiet for hours. No more pleading texts, no more desperate calls. They'd finally accepted their defeat. But had I accepted my victory? I pulled out my laptop, opened my investment portfolio. $2 million, enough to destroy my family, enough to help others, enough to choose who I wanted to be next. A new email popped up from Lucy. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even expect you to read this, but I want you to know you didn't just teach us about karma. You taught us about strength, about dignity, about consequences. I'm sorry we had to learn it this way. I'm sorry we made you learn it alone. I started to delete it, then stopped. Copied it instead. Saved it in a new folder labeled After. My phone buzzed one last time. Alina. Tenant meeting tomorrow at 9. Still want to play landlord? I looked at my reflection in the window. Successful, powerful, alone. Yes, I typed back. But this time I'm playing by my rules, not theirs. Because maybe that's what winning really meant. Not destroying others, but building yourself. Not seeking revenge, but finding peace. Even if that peace came in a gold envelope. The woman in Unit 7B clutched her eviction notice with trembling hands. "Please," she whispered. "My daughter, we have nowhere else to go." I sat across from her in the management office, studying her face. Sarah, that was her name, single mother, laid off from her accounting job, 3 months behind on rent, just like I'd once been, minus the family that pretended to help. "Tell me about your daughter," I said. "Emma, she's 7. Sarah pulled out her phone, showed me a picture of a gap-toothed girl with braids. "She doesn't know how bad things are. I've been pretending everything's fine." My chest tightened. "Like making up stories about why you can't buy new clothes or why dinner is always ramen." She looked up sharply. "How did you—" "Because I lived it." I pulled out my own eviction notice from years ago, right after my father died, when I learned that sometimes pretending is all you have. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "I just need time, a chance to find another job." I thought about Lucy, about Susan, about all the chances they'd squandered, about how power could be used to break or to build. "I have a proposal," I said, pulling out a contract. "Not charity, an opportunity." Her hands steadied slightly. "What kind of opportunity?" "My property management company needs an accountant, someone who understands numbers and empathy." "You're offering me a job?" "I'm offering you a choice." I slid the contract across the desk. "Work for me, pay your rent through payroll deduction, build something real." She read the salary figure, gasped. "This is market rate," I said firmly. "No charity, just dignity." My phone buzzed. Brendan. "At the airport. Last chance to say goodbye?" I ignored it, focused on Sarah. "What do you say?" She grabbed a pen, signed without hesitation. "When do I start?" "Today," I stood up. "But first, I need you to help me with something." An hour later, we stood in my office, looking at spreadsheets of my other properties. Sarah's accountant's eye caught something I'd missed. "These units," she pointed. "The rent's below market." "Why?" "Because sometimes profit isn't the point," I said. "Sometimes it's about giving people what I never got, a fair chance." My phone buzzed again. Lucy this time. "Had my ultrasound today. It's a girl. I hope she grows up to be strong, like her aunt." I showed Sarah the text. "Know what the difference is between charity and opportunity?" "What?" "Charity keeps you small. Opportunity lets you grow." I handed her a set of keys. "These are yours now. The building needs someone who understands both sides of that door." "I won't let you down." She clutched the keys. "I know," I smiled. "Because you're not doing this for me. You're doing it for Emma." My phone rang. Alina. "Brendan's flight leaves in an hour," she said. "You sure about this?" I looked at Sarah, already diving into the paperwork, determination replacing fear in her eyes. "Yes," I said. "Some goodbyes need to stay goodbye." After Sarah left, I stood at my window, watching the city buzz below. My phone lit up with a final text from Susan. "The movers are here. I understand now. Not asking for mercy. Just wanted you to know. I'm proud of who you became, despite us." I saved the message but didn't respond. Some wounds need time to heal. Some lessons need time to settle. A knock at my door. Alina. "So?" She leaned against the doorframe. "The great revenge story ends with you hiring a single mom and keeping quiet tenants in below-market units?" "No," I turned from the window. "It ends with me choosing who I want to be, someone who builds instead of breaks." "And your family?" "They taught me what family isn't." I picked up my keys. "Now I get to decide what family could be." "Starting with Sarah and Emma?" "Starting with me," I corrected. "The rest will follow." We walked to my car together. The city stretched out before us, full of buildings and stories and second chances. "You know what's funny?" I said, starting the engine. "They thought they were teaching me about charity. Instead, they taught me about power." "And what did you learn?" I pulled out a gold envelope, my last one. Inside, a deed to a small apartment building. On top, a note. For Emma's college fund. No charity, just opportunity. I learned that real power isn't in what you can take away. I handed the envelope to Alina to deliver. It's in what you choose to give. She smiled. Now that's a revenge story worth telling. No, I pulled away from the curb, leaving the past where it belonged. That's a recovery story worth living. The city stretched before me, full of possibilities. Not all of them golden, but all of them mine to choose. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. Sometimes it's simply becoming someone they never thought you could be. Someone better than they ever were.
The paint fumes made my eyes water, but I kept rolling that sage green across the back wall anyway. It was 3 a.m, and my mom was passed out on the makeshift bed we'd dragged into what would become her office. She'd been going non-stop for 16 hours straight, and honestly, I was proud of her for finally taking a break. My name is Cora, and at 26, I thought I'd finally found my purpose. Not in some corporate cubicle or chasing someone else's dream, but right here in this dusty storefront that smelled like sawdust and possibility. Cora, honey, you don't have to stay up all night, Mum had mumbled around midnight, but her eyes were already drooping. Someone has to finish this wall, I said, squeezing her shoulder. Besides, we open in 2 weeks. Sleep. I've got this. That's how it had been for 3 months. Me picking up the slack, me staying late, me using my savings to cover the deposits she couldn't quite manage. But I didn't mind. For the first time in my life, my mother actually needed me for something real. The vintage thrift shop had been her idea, obviously. Mum always had ideas. When I was 12, she wanted to start a catering business. At 15, it was handmade jewellery. At 20, she was convinced we should flip houses together, but this felt different. She'd found the perfect location, negotiated with the landlord, even had a business plan sketched out on napkins. This is it, Cora, she'd said that first day, keys jangling in her hand as she unlocked the empty space. This is going to be our legacy, yours and mine. Our legacy. Those words had hit me right in the chest. I dipped the roller again and stretched to reach the corner. The green was perfect, not too bright, not too muted. Mum had great taste, I'd give her that. She'd picked out everything from the paint colours to the vintage brass fixtures we'd installed last week. You have such good instincts, she'd told me while I was on my hands and knees, screwing in the baseboards. I don't know what I'd do without you. The front door chimed. We'd finally gotten the bell working yesterday, and I turned to see Mom shuffling in with 2 cups of coffee from the 24-hour diner down the street. Couldn't sleep, she said, handing me a cup. Kept thinking about the window display. It's 4 a.m, Mum. I know, but look at this place. She gestured around the space with her free hand. Look what we built! And she was right. The transformation was incredible. What had been a grimy, abandoned storefront 3 months ago now looked like something out of a magazine. Exposed brick walls, carefully curated vintage furniture arranged in cosy vignettes, and racks of clothing organised by colour and era. We'd even built a little reading nook in the corner with a velvet armchair and a stack of old books. The permit came through yesterday, Mum said, settling into the chair we'd designated for the register area. We're officially official. Really? That's amazing. Cora, I need you to know something. Her voice got serious, the way it did when she was about to say something important. This isn't just my dream anymore. It's ours. One day, all of this will be yours. I nearly dropped my coffee. Mum, I mean it. You've put your heart into this place. You quit your job, spent your savings, worked yourself to the bone. This is as much yours as it is mine. She stood up and walked over to me, paint splattered and exhausted as I was. Partners. Equal partners. Are you sure? Honey, look around. You think I could have done any of this without you? She laughed, but it was warm, not mocking. You're the one with the vision. I'm just the dreamer. I hugged her then, right there in the middle of our beautiful, almost finished store. The paint was still wet on the walls, and everything smelled like hope and hard work and the future we were building together. We should probably get some paperwork drawn up, I said when we broke apart. You know, make it official. Mom waved her hand dismissively. Cora, please, we're family. Family doesn't need contracts and lawyers and all that nonsense. We have something better than paperwork. We have trust. I nodded, feeling silly for even bringing it up. She was right. This was bigger than business documents. We worked until sunrise, putting the finishing touches on the back wall, arranging the jewellery display case, testing the vintage record player we'd found at an estate sale. By the time we locked up, the place looked ready for customers. Walking to my car, I felt lighter than I had in years. Finally, I was part of something that mattered. It wasn't until I got home and checked my phone that I saw the voicemail notification. Unknown number, left at 2:47 a.m. while I was painting. This message is for Cynthia Dawson regarding your business account application. Please call us back to discuss the next steps in processing your loan. I played it again. Business account. Loan. What loan? I stood outside the store at 7 a.m. sharp, keys in hand, ready to tackle the final prep work before our soft opening next week. The morning sun hit the windows just right, making the vintage mannequins look like they were posing for a photo shoot. Except my key wouldn't turn. I jiggled it, thinking maybe the lock was sticking. Nothing. I tried again, pushing harder. The key slid in but wouldn't rotate even a millimetre. What the hell? I walked around to the back entrance. Same thing. The key that had worked perfectly yesterday was now completely useless. My phone buzzed. Mum. Hey honey, running a bit late this morning. Go ahead and start without me. Mum, the locks aren't working. Did you change them? A pause. Too long of a pause. Oh right, yes, I had them changed yesterday evening. Security upgrade. Okay, where are the new keys? Another pause. Actually, Cora, I need to talk to you. Can you meet me at the diner? Something cold settled in my stomach. Why can't we talk at the store? Just meet me at the diner. 20 minutes. She hung up. I sat in my car for 15 minutes staring at the storefront we'd built together, trying to make sense of what was happening. Finally, I drove to the diner, that voicemail about the business loan playing on repeat in my head. Mum was already there, sitting in a corner booth, stirring her coffee like she was trying to dissolve the spoon. There's my girl, she said, but her smile looked painted on. I slid into the booth across from her. What's going on with the locks? Kira, honey, you know I appreciate everything you've done for the store. Appreciate? Mum, we built that place together. You said we were partners. I know, and we were, but things have gotten complicated. What kind of complicated? She wouldn't meet my eyes. The business has to be streamlined. I've brought in some help. Help with what? We were doing fine on our own. Camilla is going to be managing the day-to-day operations. I blinked. Camilla? Your niece Camilla? The one who's never worked retail a day in her life? She has a business degree. She has a business degree she's never used. Mum, what is this really about? The diner door chimed, and speak of the devil, in walked Camilla. Designer jeans, perfect blowout, carrying a Starbucks cup like it was a trophy. She spotted us and sauntered over. Morning, Aunt Cynthia. Cora. She slid into the booth next to my mother, all smiles and confidence. Camilla was just telling me about some exciting ideas she has for the store, Mum said. Oh, tons of ideas, Camilla chirped. Social media campaigns, influencer partnerships, maybe even a website with online ordering. I stared at her. Those were my ideas. I pitched those to you last month, Mum. Well, great minds think alike, Camilla said with a little laugh. Cora, the thing is, Mum continued, I need someone who can be there full time. Someone who can really commit. I quit my job for this store. I spent my entire savings. How much more committed could I be? But you were always talking about maybe going back to school or travelling or... I never said any of that. So Mum's voice got sharper. Don't raise your voice at me. I'm not raising my voice. I'm asking you to explain why my cousin is suddenly running the business we built together. The business I built, Mum corrected. With your help, yes, but it's my business. The words hit like a slap. That's not what you said 3 months ago, or last week, or literally 2 days ago when you told me it would all be mine someday. I was being encouraging, motivational. You were lying. Cora! Mum's voice went cold. I think you're being dramatic. You helped out, and I'm grateful, but let's not pretend this was ever anything more than that. I looked at Camilla, who was examining her manicured nails like this conversation was boring her. Did you know? I asked her. When you agreed to take over, did you know I thought I was a partner? Camilla shrugged. Aunt Cynthia told me you'd been helping out, but that she needed someone more professional. Professional. Someone who understands business. I laughed, but it came out harsh. I understand business just fine. I understand that partners usually get contracts. I understand that partners usually get keys to their own store. It's not your store, Mum said quietly. Right, I forgot. Family doesn't need contracts, remember? Family just needs trust. I stood up, my hands shaking slightly. You know what's funny? I actually believed you. I thought we were building something together. Cora, sit down. You're making a scene. No, I'm leaving. Enjoy your streamlined business. I was halfway to the door when Mum called after me. Cora, honey, don't be like this. You can still visit the store anytime. Maybe help out during busy seasons. I turned around. The entire diner was staring now, but I didn't care. Visit? Help out during busy seasons? I walked back to their table. Mum, I painted those walls. I installed those fixtures. I chose that inventory. I designed that window display. And now you want me to visit? You're being unreasonable. I'm being unreasonable. I pulled out my phone and opened my voice memos. Want to hear what you said about this being our legacy? Our partnership? Want me to play back all those promises? Mum's face went pale. You recorded me. I recorded everything. Every conversation, every promise, every time you told me this was as much mine as yours. Camilla looked uncomfortable for the first time since she'd sat down. Those were private conversations, Mum said. Between partners, I said. Remember? I spent the next week doing something I'd never done before, keeping meticulous records of everything. Every receipt I'd saved from our store purchases, every bank statement showing my withdrawals, every photo I'd taken during construction, every voice memo I'd recorded of Mom's promises. The pile of evidence grew daily. You're obsessing, my friend Jake said, when I showed him the spreadsheet I created. Maybe just let it go? Let it go? Jake, she stole 3 months of my life and $8,000 of my money. But she's your mom. Exactly. She's my mom, and she screwed me over. I'd been staying at Jake's place since the diner confrontation, sleeping on his couch and plotting my next move, because there was going to be a next move. I just needed to figure out what it was. The answer came when I was walking past the store, my store, and saw Charlotte, the landlord, posting a "For Lease" sign in the window of the space next door. I knocked on the glass. She looked up, recognised me, and opened the door. Cora, right? How's the store coming along? Actually, that's complicated. Are you seriously leasing the space next door? Just went on the market yesterday. Same square footage as your mum's place, but it needs work. She studied my face. Why? You interested? Maybe. Can I see it? Charlotte unlocked the door to reveal a space that was basically identical to Mum's store, just mirrored. Same exposed brick, same high ceilings, same potential. Rent's the same as next door, Charlotte said. First month, last month, security deposit. I walked around the empty space, my mind racing. What if I wanted to call it something similar to the existing store? Like Cappy complimentary branding? Charlotte raised an eyebrow. As long as it's not trademark infringement, I don't care what you call it. And how quickly could I move in? Soon as the paperwork's done and the check clears. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. The number was smaller than it used to be, but still enough. I'll take it. Just like that. Just like that. We shook hands right there in the empty storefront. Can I ask you something? Charlotte said as she pulled out the lease agreement. What happened with you and your mum? I thought you two were partners. So did I. Charlotte made a note on her clipboard. You know, you're not the first person she's burned. What do you mean? Nothing specific. Just, your mum has a reputation around here. People talk. I signed the lease that afternoon and immediately started making calls. First, to a contractor I'd worked with at my old job. Then to a business loan officer at the credit union. Finally to Cameron, an investor I'd met at a networking event months ago. Cora! Good to hear from you. How's the thrift store going? That's actually why I'm calling. I'm starting my own store now, and I remember you mentioning you were interested in supporting local retail ventures. Your own store? What happened to the family business? Family business didn't work out, but I learned a lot, and I have a solid plan. I'm listening. I pitched him everything. The location, the concept, the market research I'd done while helping Mum. By the end of the call, he'd agreed to meet in person. One question, Cameron said. This new store is not going to compete directly with your mother's place, is it? It's going to complement it, I said. Different target demographic, which was technically true. Mum was targeting customers who wanted cheap vintage finds. I was targeting customers who wanted quality vintage finds and were willing to pay for them. Cameron and I met at a coffee shop the next morning. I brought my laptop, my business plan, and a folder full of photos from the original store construction. This is impressive work, he said, flipping through the photos. You did all this yourself? Most of it. I have a good eye for design and I'm not afraid of manual labour. And your timeline? 6 weeks to opening. I know it sounds aggressive, but I already have supplier relationships. I understand the local market, and I've done this before. Cameron closed the folder and leaned back in his chair. Cora, I'm going to be direct with you. This feels like a revenge play. It's a business opportunity. Those aren't mutually exclusive. I met his eyes. My mother taught me that family doesn't need contracts. She taught me that trust is more valuable than paperwork. She taught me that promises between family members are sacred. I paused. She also taught me that none of that is true. Cameron laughed. Fair enough. What do you need from me? 15,000 for inventory and marketing. I'll pay it back within 6 months plus interest. And if your mother tries to interfere? She can try. We shook hands over coffee and signed the investment agreement right there. Walking back to my car, I called Charlotte. It's Cora. I need to ask you something about Mom's lease. What about it? Is her business license current? A pause. Why would you ask that? Just curious about the paperwork requirements. Cora, I can't discuss another tenant's private information. I understand. But hypothetically, if someone's business license had violations, would that affect their lease? Another pause. Hypothetically, yes. Major violations could trigger lease termination clauses. Good to know. Cora. Yeah? You didn't hear this from me, but you might want to check the city's public records database. Business licenses are public information. I spent that evening on the city website, searching through business registration records. What I found made me smile for the first time in weeks. Mom's business license had 3 outstanding violations: zoning compliance, sales tax registration, and occupancy permits. All fixable problems, if you knew about them. All grounds for lease termination, if you didn't. My phone buzzed at 11 p.m. while I was reviewing contractor estimates. Unknown number. Hello? Cora? It's Eloise, my little sister. I hadn't heard from her since the diner incident. Hey, El, what's up? Can we meet somewhere? I need to talk to you. It's pretty late. Is everything okay? No, nothing's okay. Can you pick me up? I'm at the library on 5th Street. 20 minutes later, I found Eloise sitting on the library steps, looking smaller than her 19 years. She climbed into my car without a word. Where do you want to go? Anywhere but home. I drove to the 24-hour diner where this whole mess had started. We grabbed a corner booth, and Eloise ordered coffee with shaking hands. Mom's been acting weird since your fight, she said. Weird how? Paranoid. Angry. She keeps asking if I've talked to you, if I know what you're planning. Eloise wrapped her hands around her coffee mug. Cora, I heard something. Before the whole thing went down. What did you hear? I was upstairs doing homework, and Mum was on the phone with Camilla. This was like 2 weeks before she locked you out. My stomach tightened. What did they say? Mum was telling Camilla about the store, about bringing her in to manage it, and Camilla asked what she was going to do about you. And? Mum said you were getting too attached, that you thought you were some kind of partner. She said she needed to cut you loose before you got any more ideas. The words hit like ice water. She planned it, the whole thing. There's more. Eloise's voice got quieter. Camilla asked if you caused problems, and Mum laughed. She said you were too trusting, too desperate for her approval to fight back. I gripped my coffee mug so hard I thought it might crack. I should have warned you, Eloise continued. But I thought maybe I misunderstood, or maybe she'd changed her mind, or... Elle, it's not your fault. Yes, it is. I knew she was planning to screw you over, and I said nothing. You were protecting yourself. I get it. Eloise started crying then, quiet tears that she wiped away with her sleeve. There's something else. About Aunt Elizabeth. Who's Aunt Elizabeth? Mum's sister. She died when I was little, but I found some old papers in Mum's room. They had a bakery together in the 90s. I've never heard Mum mention a bakery. Because she stole it. Same thing she did to you. Elizabeth put up the money, did all the work, and Mum pushed her out right before it became profitable. I stared at my sister. How do you know all this? The papers, legal documents, letters from Elizabeth begging Mum to honour their agreement. Elizabeth lost everything. Her savings, her credit, her relationship with the family. What happened to her? She moved across the country, cut off all contact. Died in a car accident 5 years later. Eloise pulled a folded envelope from her jacket. I brought copies. I opened the envelope and found photocopies of handwritten letters, legal documents, and what looked like a partnership agreement. Elizabeth's handwriting was desperate in the later letters. Cynthia, please reconsider. We built this together. You promised we were equal partners. The words could have been mine. There's a pattern, Eloise said. Mum finds someone to do the hard work, makes them feel special and included, then cuts them out when it's profitable. Why are you telling me this? Because I can't watch her do it again. And because Camilla threatened me. She what? Yesterday, she cornered me after my shift at the bookstore, said if I talked to you about anything related to the store, she'd make sure I lost my job. That's insane. She said Mum told her I might try to help you cause trouble. She said they'd both deny everything if I tried to repeat what I heard. I looked at my little sister, really looked at her. Dark circles under her eyes, tension in her shoulders, the way she kept glancing toward the door like she expected someone to walk in. Elle, are you safe at home? I think so. But Mum keeps asking weird questions about you. Where you're staying, what you're doing for money, if you've talked to any lawyers. What do you tell her? That I don't know anything, which was true until tonight. I reached across the table and squeezed her hand. I'm going to fix this. How? I'm opening my own store, right next door to hers. Eloise's eyes widened. Cora, that's crazy, probably. But she taught me everything I know about running a business. Time to put those lessons to use. She's going to lose her mind. Good. Eloise was quiet for a moment, then reached into her jacket again. There's one more thing. The original business registration for Mum's store. She handed me another envelope. I found this in her desk. Look at the date. I opened it and found the LLC registration paperwork. Filed 6 months before Mum had even mentioned the store idea to me. 6 months before she'd asked for my help. She was planning this from the beginning, I said. The whole thing was a setup. She needed free labour to get the store ready, and she knew you'd work harder if you thought you were building something for yourself. I folded the papers carefully and put them in my purse. Eloise, I need you to do something for me. What? Keep pretending you don't know anything. Don't let them know we talked. What are you going to do with those papers? Exactly what Mum taught me to do. I'm going to use every advantage I have. Kira, be careful. If she did this to her own sister, she's not going to do it to me. Not again. We sat in silence for a few minutes, both of us processing everything that had been said. Do you think she ever really loved us? Eloise asked quietly. I think she loves the idea of us. The version of us that makes her feel good about herself. That's not the same thing. No, I said. It's not. 6 weeks later, I stood in front of my completed store at 5 a.m., holding a cup of coffee and admiring the hand-painted sign, Vintage Revival, curated finds for the modern soul. Right next door, Mum's store still had the generic Thrift and More banner she'd hastily put up after I left. My contractor, Mike, pulled up in his truck. Ready for the big day? More than ready. We'd worked miracles in 6 weeks. Exposed brick painted white instead of sage green. Edison bulb fixtures casting warm light over carefully arranged vintage furniture. A story wall where customers could pin notes about items they purchased. And my pride and joy, a listening station with vintage records and headphones. Your mum's going to flip when she sees this, Mike said, carrying in the final delivery of inventory. That's the idea. At 8 a.m. sharp, I flipped the open sign I'd deliberately chosen to open the day before Mom's planned grand reopening celebration, the event she'd been promoting all over social media with Camilla's help. The first customer was Mrs. Peterson from down the street. Oh my goodness, is this an expansion of Cynthia's store? No, Mom, this is Vintage Revival. We're independently owned. How wonderful! I love what you've done with the space. By 10 a.m, I had a steady stream of customers. Many of them assumed I was connected to Mum's store, but once they saw the quality difference, they understood. My inventory was curated, not just cheap. My displays told stories, not just showed prices. Cameron stopped by around noon, grinning as he watched customers browse. This is incredible, Cora. The foot traffic is way higher than I expected. People are curious, and they like what they see. Your mother's noticed, I assume. I glanced toward the window. Mum had been peeking through her blinds every few minutes since I'd opened. Oh, she's noticed. At 12:30, she finally made her move. The door chimed, and in walked Mum, followed by Camilla. Both of them looked like they'd dressed for battle. Cora! Mum's voice was ice cold. What is this? This is my store. Vintage Revival. Your store, right next to mine. It's a free market, Mum. Competition is healthy. Camilla stepped forward, her phone already out and recording. This is harassment. You're deliberately trying to sabotage our business. I'm running my own business. If that feels like sabotage, maybe you should examine why. A customer near the record player looked up, clearly uncomfortable with the tension. Could we take this outside? I suggested. No, Mom said loudly. I want everyone to hear this. My daughter is trying to destroy the store we built together. The store you built, I corrected. Remember? You made that very clear. Don't be smart with me. I'm being accurate with you. An older gentleman browsing the furniture section cleared his throat. Excuse me, but is there a problem here? No problem at all, I said with a smile. Just a family discussion. Can I help you find anything specific? Actually, I was wondering about this writing desk. Do you know its history? I launched into the story of the 1940s secretary desk, how I'd found it at an estate sale, the original owner's love letters still tucked in one of the drawers. The customer was fascinated, and other shoppers gathered around to listen. Mum and Camilla stood there, clearly not knowing how to interrupt without looking worse. The door chimed again, and in walked a man in a city inspector's jacket, clipboard in hand. I'm looking for Cynthia Dawson, owner of Thrift and More. Mum's face went pale. That's me. Eugene Lawson, City Planning Office. I need to discuss some compliance issues with your business license. Compliance issues? Multiple violations have been reported. Zoning, occupancy permits, sales tax registration. I need to inspect your premises immediately. Mum looked at me, then at the inspector, then back at me. This is about the anonymous complaint, isn't it? Mum, I can't discuss the source of complaints, but these violations are serious. If they're not addressed within 48 hours, we'll have to issue a cease and desist order. 48 hours? That's impossible. The violations have been outstanding for months. You've had plenty of time to address them. Camilla grabbed Mum's arm. Aunt Cynthia, we should go deal with this. This isn't over, Mum hissed at me. No, I agreed. It's not. After they left with the inspector, the atmosphere in my store completely changed. Customers who had been tense during the confrontation now seemed energized, like they'd witnessed something important. Good for you, honey, said an elderly woman, examining vintage jewellery. I've been watching that woman operate for years. About time someone stood up to her. You know my mother? Know her? She tried to cheat my grandson out of his inheritance when she bought furniture from his grandmother's estate. Paid half what she promised, then claimed there was never a written agreement. Other customers started sharing their own stories. Mum had a reputation I'd never known about. Small betrayals, broken promises, people who'd learned not to trust her word. She's got a pattern, said a man looking at vintage tools. Finds people who need money, makes them feel special, then screws them over. By closing time, I'd sold more inventory than I'd projected for my entire first week. But more importantly, I'd learned something crucial about my mother's business practices. Charlotte stopped by as I was locking up. How was the first day? Educational. I saw the inspector go next door. Everything okay? Everything's perfect. Cora, I probably shouldn't tell you this, but your mother called me this afternoon. She wanted to know if there was any way to break your lease. What did you tell her? I told her that her daughter had signed a legally binding contract, and unlike some people, I honour my agreements. Charlotte handed me an envelope. This came for you. Looks official. Inside was a letter from the City Planning Office, confirming that my business licence was fully compliant and wishing me success with my new venture. I looked through my window at Mom's store, where the lights were still on, and I could see her and Camilla frantically going through paperwork. She taught me everything she knew, I said to myself. I just learned the rest. 2 weeks after the inspector's visit, Mum's store was hemorrhaging customers. Word had spread about the violations, and people were choosing my place over hers. I could see her through the window some days, sitting behind the register with no customers for hours. Then Eloise called. Cora, you need to come to dinner at Cousin Juliana's tonight. Mom's planning something. What kind of something? I don't know, but she's been making calls all week. She told everyone in the family that you're trying to destroy her life. I'm working, Elle. I can't just... Please. She's been drinking more. And when she drinks, she says things. Bad things. About you, about the store, about what she's going to do to fix this. I closed the store early and drove to Juliana's house. The whole extended family was there. Aunts, uncles, cousins I hadn't seen in years. The dining room felt like a tribunal. Mum sat at the head of the table, looking haggard but defiant. Camilla was next to her, scrolling through her phone like she was bored. There she is, Mum announced as I walked in. The daughter who's trying to destroy her own mother. Hello to you too, Mum. Juliana, ever the peacemaker, gestured to an empty chair. Cora, sit. Let's talk about this like family. There's nothing to talk about, Uncle Robert said. Cora opened a competing business right next to her mother's store. That's just vindictive. It's business, I said, taking the seat across from Mum, something Mum taught me about. Don't you dare blame me for your vindictive behaviour, Mum snapped. Vindictive? I'm running a legitimate business. You're trying to humiliate me. The room went quiet. Mum's voice had gotten shrill, desperate. Cynthia, Aunt Marie said gently, maybe if you explained what happened. What happened is that I gave my daughter everything, and she repaid me by trying to steal my customers and ruin my reputation. I laughed. Actually laughed. You gave me everything? Mum, you kicked me out of the store I helped build and told me I was never a partner. That's not how it happened. Really? Because I have recordings. The room went dead silent. Mum's face turned white. You recorded private family conversations? Uncle Robert looked disgusted. I recorded business discussions with someone who claimed to be my business partner. Those were private. Between partners, I interrupted, which is what you told me we were. I pulled out my phone and played one of the recordings. Mum's voice filled the room. This isn't just my dream anymore, Cora. It's ours. One day, all of this will be yours. Partners. Equal partners. When it ended, nobody spoke. Play another one, Eloise said quietly. I played the recording from our last real conversation at the store. Family doesn't need contracts and lawyers and all that nonsense. We have something better than paperwork. We have trust. Mum stood up so fast her chair fell backward. Stop it! Why? Embarrassed by your own words? You manipulated those recordings. I manipulated them? Mum, these are your exact words. Camilla finally looked up from her phone. Aunt Cynthia, maybe we should just leave. No! Mum slammed her hand on the table. I'm not leaving until everyone understands what she's doing to me. What am I doing to you? You're destroying my business, my reputation, everything I worked for. Everything we worked for, remember? Partners. I never promised you anything legally binding. Right. Because family doesn't need contracts. Juliana tried to intervene. Maybe you two should discuss this privately. No, I said, standing up. Let's discuss it right here, in front of everyone. I looked around the table. How many of you know about Aunt Elizabeth? Mum's face went ashen. Don't you dare. Elizabeth, Mum's sister, the one who had a bakery with her in the 90s. Cora, stop. The one Mum pushed out of their partnership right before it became profitable. That's ancient history, is it? Because it sounds exactly like what happened to me. Uncle Robert frowned. What are you talking about? Elizabeth moved to California for work. Elizabeth moved to California because Mom stole her business, I said. Same pattern. Elizabeth did the work, Mom made the promises, then Mom cut her out when it was time to profit. That's a lie! Mom screamed. I pulled out the photocopied letters Eloise had given me. These are Elizabeth's letters, begging you to honour your partnership agreement. I read one aloud. Cynthia, please reconsider. We built this together. You promised we were equal partners. The silence in the room was deafening. Where did you get those? Mom's voice was barely a whisper. Does it matter? The point is, you've done this before. Elizabeth was different. She was what? Trusting? Desperate for your approval? Too naive to get everything in writing? Mum started crying then, but they weren't sad tears. They were angry, frustrated tears of someone who'd been caught. You don't understand the pressure I was under, she sobbed. The bills, the stress, the responsibility. So you decided to steal from your sister, and then from your daughter. I never stole anything. Really? Because I found something else interesting. I pulled out another document. This is a loan application you filed 2 years ago using my social security number. The room erupted. Everyone started talking at once, but I kept going. You took out a $15,000 loan in my name to fund the store, without telling me, without my permission. Mom's crying stopped abruptly. How did you... The bank called me when you missed a payment. Funny thing about identity theft, it leaves a paper trail. Camilla stood up. I think I should go. Sit down, Camilla. You're part of this too. I didn't know about any loan, but you knew she was planning to cut me out. Eloise heard you two discussing it weeks before it happened. All eyes turned to Eloise, who nodded miserably. You all planned this, I continued. The fake partnership, the promises, the betrayal. You used me for free labour, then discarded me when you didn't need me anymore. That's not, Camilla started. And now you're surprised that I'm competing with you? You taught me everything I know about business, Mom, including how to recognise when someone's trying to screw me over. Mum wiped her eyes and looked around the table at our family, all of them staring at her with varying degrees of shock and disappointment. Fine, she said. You want to destroy me? Go ahead. But don't expect me to pretend we're still family after this. We stopped being family the day you changed those locks. Mum grabbed her purse and headed for the door. Come on, Camilla, let's go. But Camilla didn't move. She was staring at her phone, her face pale. Aunt Cynthia, we have a problem. What now? The revenue reports I filed with the state. The ones showing higher sales numbers to avoid penalties. What about them? Someone reported them as fraudulent. The state tax office wants to audit the store. Mum turned to look at me. You. I didn't report anything, but if your numbers don't match your actual sales, that's between you and the state. This is harassment. This is consequences. 3 days after the family dinner, I arrived at my store to find Mom standing outside hers, staring at a bright yellow notice taped to her door. Closed until further notice, by order of City Planning Department. She looked like she'd aged 10 years overnight. Her hair was unwashed, her clothes wrinkled, and she was clutching a coffee cup with shaking hands. Satisfied? She called out when she saw me unlocking my door. I'm sorry it came to this. No, you're not. This is exactly what you wanted. I paused with my key in the lock. What I wanted was to be treated like a partner. What I got was betrayal. I gave you everything. You gave me lies. A small crowd was starting to gather, people on their way to work, curious about the drama unfolding between the two stores. Mum noticed the audience and raised her voice. Everyone should know what kind of daughter I raised. She destroyed her own mother's business out of spite. I didn't destroy anything, I said calmly. I just stopped enabling your illegal business practices. Illegal? How dare you? The falsified revenue reports, Mum. The unpaid sales taxes, the zoning violations you ignored for months. That's not spite. That's consequences. Charlotte appeared from around the corner, walking toward us with purpose. Ladies, you're disturbing my other tenants. Charlotte, you have to do something about her, Mum pointed at me. She's harassing me, trying to steal my customers. Cynthia, your lease is terminated effective immediately. You have 48 hours to remove your belongings. Mum's coffee cup slipped from her hands and shattered on the sidewalk. What? You can't do that. Section 12 of your lease agreement, material breach of legal compliance requirements. The city violations void your tenancy. But I can fix those. I just need more time. You've had months to fix them. The time for extensions is over. I watched my mother crumble in real time. Her shoulders sagged, her face crumpled, and for a moment she looked like a lost child. This is all your fault, she whispered to me. You've ruined everything. I didn't ruin anything. I just stopped pretending your behaviour was acceptable. That evening, Cameron called with news. The press wants to do a story about your store. Local entrepreneur, overcoming family betrayal, building something from nothing. You interested? What kind of story? Human interest piece. David versus Goliath, but with vintage furniture and family drama. I don't want to trash my mother publicly. You don't have to. Just tell your story honestly. Let people draw their own conclusions. The reporter, Sarah, came by the next day. She was young, enthusiastic, and clearly fascinated by the whole situation. So, your mother kicked you out of the business you helped build? She decided she didn't need a partner anymore. And you responded by opening a competing store next door. I responded by starting my own business. The location was just convenient. Some people might call that revenge. Some people might call it justice. Sarah interviewed several customers, all of whom praised my store's quality and service. She also tried to interview Mum, but according to Eloise, Mum had refused to comment. The article ran 3 days later with the headline, "From Betrayal to Business, Local Woman Builds Success from Family Ashes." It was fair, focusing more on my entrepreneurial journey than on Mum's failures. But the comments section was brutal. People shared their own stories about Mum's questionable business practices going back years. That afternoon, Camilla showed up at my store. She looked exhausted and defeated. "Can we talk?" "Sure." She followed me to the back office, where I was processing inventory. "I need to tell you something about the revenue reports." "What about them?" "I didn't just file them, I created them. Made up numbers to make the store look more profitable than it was." I stopped typing and looked at her. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because the state auditor called me directly. They want me to testify about the discrepancies. And I can't lie under oath. I won't go to jail for your mother." "So what are you going to do?" "Tell the truth, all of it. How she planned to cut you out, how she used your credit without permission, how she made me falsify documents." "Camilla, that's going to destroy her." "She destroyed herself. I'm just trying to avoid getting dragged down with her." Camilla pulled out an envelope and set it on my desk. "These are copies of everything. The fake reports, the loan documents with your SSN, emails where she told me to inflate the numbers. Why give these to me?" "Because you deserve to know the full scope of what she did. And because..." She paused, looking genuinely remorseful. "Because I should have warned you from the beginning. I knew what she was planning, and I went along with it because it benefited me. You were protecting yourself. I was being selfish. There's a difference." After Camilla left, I sat in my office staring at the envelope. Inside was evidence of fraud, identity theft, and systematic deception. Enough to send Mom to prison if I wanted to press charges. My phone rang. Eloise. "Cora, Mum's packing up the store. She's crying and throwing things and saying she's leaving town." "Where is she going?" "I don't know. She won't tell me, but she keeps saying you've won, that you've destroyed her life." "Elle, I never wanted to destroy her life. I just wanted her to face consequences for her actions." "I know, but she can't see the difference." "Are you okay?" "I'm scared. She's talking about starting over somewhere else, and she wants me to come with her." "Do you want to go?" "No. But I don't know how to tell her that without making everything worse." I looked at the family photo on my desk, the one from the store's original opening day when we all believed we were building something together. "Elle, you don't have to choose between me and Mum, but you also don't have to enable her behaviour." "What do you mean?" "I mean you can love someone and still hold them accountable. You can support someone without participating in their lies. Is that what you're doing?" "I'm trying to." That night, I walked past Mom's empty storefront. Through the window, I could see boxes stacked everywhere, years of inventory reduced to cardboard containers. A handwritten sign in the window read, "Everything must go. Final sale." I stood there for a long time, looking at the space where we'd once worked side by side, where she'd promised me a future that never existed. Tomorrow, the press would run a follow-up story about the store's closure. The community would move on. New businesses would open and close. But tonight, I just stood there in the silence, mourning the mother I'd thought I had, and the partnership that had never been real. The morning Mum left town, I found a letter slipped under my store's door. "Cora, you got what you wanted. I hope it was worth destroying your family. Mum." I crumpled it up and threw it in the trash, then immediately pulled it back out and smoothed it flat. evidence of her final attempt to make me the villain in her story. Eloise called an hour later. She's gone. Took 2 suitcases in her car, left everything else behind. Are you okay? I think so. She asked me to come with her one last time. When I said no, she told me I was choosing you over her. What did you say? I told her I was choosing honesty over lies. She didn't like that. The store felt different that day. Lighter somehow, like a weight I hadn't realised I was carrying had finally lifted. Customers noticed too. You seem happier today, said Mrs. Peterson, browsing the jewellery display. I feel like I can finally breathe. Good for you, honey. That woman was poison. Around noon, Charlotte stopped by with a clipboard and a measuring tape. Mind if I take some measurements? I'm thinking about knocking out the wall between the 2 spaces. You want to expand my store? I want to offer you the option. Double your square footage, same rent as you're paying now. I looked through the window at the empty space next door, the place where I'd painted walls and installed fixtures and believed in promises that were never real. I'll think about it. Take your time, but Cora, you've built something special here. Don't let her legacy limit your future. That afternoon, Cameron arrived with a photographer and a bottle of champagne. What's this for? Celebration. The article about your store has been picked up by 3 regional papers and a business magazine. You're getting calls from investors interested in franchising your concept. Franchising? Multiple locations? Your brand, your curation style, your story wall concept. You could have stores in 5 cities within 2 years. I stared at him. That's not what I wanted. What did you want? I wanted to prove I could build something on my own. I wanted to show her that I didn't need her approval to succeed. And you did that. Now the question is, what do you want next? Before I could answer, the door chimed, and in walked Eugene, the city inspector. Miss Cora, I wanted to follow up on the violations at the neighbouring business. What about them? The case is closed. Multiple infractions, falsified documents, unpaid taxes. The business owner left town before we could complete the investigation. Will there be charges filed? That depends on whether anyone wants to press charges for the identity theft and fraud. He handed me a business card. If you decide you want to pursue it, call this number. You have up to 3 years to file. After he left, I stood in my store looking at the card. 3 years to decide whether to send my mother to prison. I walked over to the story wall where customers had been pinning notes about items they'd purchased. A woman had written about finding her grandmother's exact china pattern. A college student had left a note about the vintage desk that was helping him write his thesis. A young mother had pinned a photo of her daughter playing dress-up in a 1950s coat. At the bottom of the wall, someone had written, "This place saved my life. Thank you for creating something beautiful from something broken." I unpinned the note and read it again. Creating something beautiful from something broken. The door chimed again. Eloise walked in carrying a box. I brought you something. Inside the box were photo albums, documents and mementos from our family's history. Pictures of me as a kid, school awards, art projects I'd made. Mum left these behind. I thought you might want them. I flipped through one of the albums. Photos of birthday parties, Christmas mornings, family vacations. In every picture, Mum looked proud and happy. Like she genuinely loved being our mother. Do you think she ever really cared about us? I asked. I think she cared about the idea of us. The version of us that made her feel good about herself. That's what I said before. You were right. Eloise sat down in the vintage armchair I'd designated as the reading corner. I got accepted to the State University. Full scholarship. Elle, that's amazing. I'm going to study business law, contracts, partnerships, corporate ethics. Because of what happened with Mum? Because I never want to be that vulnerable again. And because I want to help other people avoid what happened to you. I hugged my sister, really hugged her, for the first time since this whole mess started. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you too. You could have destroyed her completely, but you didn't. I thought about it. But you didn't do it. That's what matters. That evening, I stayed late to reorganise the inventory. The store was quiet, peaceful in a way it had never been when Mum's drama was looming next door. I found myself standing in front of the story wall again, reading the notes customers had left. Stories of connection, of finding exactly what they needed, of feeling understood in a world that often felt chaotic. Charlotte's words echoed in my mind. You didn't win a fight, you built your own table. I pulled out my phone and called Cameron. I've made a decision about the expansion. And I want to take the second space. Not for franchising, not for revenge, for community. What do you mean? I want to turn it into a workshop space. Teach people how to restore furniture, how to see value in broken things, how to create something beautiful from something discarded. That's actually brilliant. And Cameron, I want to call it the Elizabeth Workshop, after my aunt. I walked to the window and looked out at the empty storefront next door. Tomorrow I'd start building something new in the space where Mom had tried to build her empire of lies. I whispered to my reflection in the glass. She taught me everything she knew. I just learned the rest. But this time, the words didn't taste bitter. They tasted like freedom.
The sound of my daughter's voice shattered the silence of our temporary sanctuary. Mommy, who is Aunt Jessa? She was laughing at someone who sounded like you. My name is Giselle, and 3 months ago, I gathered the courage to leave my emotionally abusive marriage with nothing but 2 suitcases, my 6-year-old daughter Ella, and the desperate hope that my family would catch us when we fell. The day I told my mother I was filing for divorce, she cried real tears. At least I thought they were real at the time. She held my hands across her antique kitchen table, the one where I'd spent countless childhood dinners, and whispered, "Come home, baby. We'll take care of you both." My brother Kyler stood in the doorway, arms crossed, jaw set. I should have protected you from him sooner, but I'm here now, sis. We all are. I remember how those words wrapped around me like a warm blanket, how they made me believe everything would be okay. My daughter would have stability, love, support. We'd rebuild our lives surrounded by family. Of course we'll help with Ella, my mother said that first week, as I frantically searched for a job that would accommodate school pickup times. That's what family does. I insisted on contributing financially. I can give you $3,200 a month, I offered, for rent, groceries, helping with Ella, everything. Oh, honey, you don't have to, my mother started, but Kyler cut her off. Let her contribute, Mom. It'll help her feel independent. He winked at me. But we've got your back no matter what. The first month felt like healing. Ella's nightmares about her father's shouting matches decreased. She started drawing again. Bright, colorful pictures that didn't feature scary, dark clouds anymore. My mother cooked elaborate Sunday dinners. Kyler's wife, Laura, brought over movies and face masks for girls' nights. But something shifted in the second month. Small things at first. My mother started having appointments during promised babysitting times. Kyler became harder to reach. Laura's smile seemed stretched thin, like a rubber band about to snap. Sorry. Can't watch Ella tonight, became a common text. Emergency at work. Oh, I thought you knew we had plans, became another favorite. Still, I pushed down the nagging feeling. Trauma makes you paranoid, my therapist had said. Not everyone is out to hurt you. Then came that morning when Ella sat at the breakfast table, innocent eyes wide with confusion. Mommy, on the iPad yesterday, I heard Aunt Jessa laughing. She was copying someone's voice. It sounded like you, and everyone was laughing so hard. My spoon clattered against the bowl. What do you mean, baby? Where did you hear this? On my iPad! I was trying to make a video like you showed me, but it was already recording from before. They were at that fancy place with the big steaks. My throat tightened. The steakhouse. The one Kyler had said was too expensive when I suggested celebrating Ella's first grade graduation there. Can you show me, sweetheart? Ella nodded, sliding off her chair to retrieve her iPad from her backpack. It's kind of long. They were saying funny things about someone being silly with money. My hands trembled as I took the device. Part of me already knew what I would find, but nothing could have prepared me for the actual footage. The video was dark, probably recorded accidentally when the iPad was in Ella's bag during one of Laura's special aunt-niece dinners, but the audio was crystal clear. She thinks she's buying herself a new family, my mother's voice rang out, followed by laughter. 3,000 a month. Andrew really did a number on her head. Watch this, Kyler's voice now. Then, in a high-pitched mimicry of my voice, Oh, Mom, you're such a lifesaver. What would we do without you? More laughter. Laura's distinctive giggle. My cousin Olive's snort. Mommy? Ella's small voice pulled me back. Are you okay? Your face looks funny. I realized I was gripping the iPad so hard my knuckles had turned white. With deliberate care, I set it down and forced a smile. I'm fine, baby. Just thinking about grown-up stuff. I reached down to pick up the crayons she'd dropped earlier. How about we color for a while? As I watched my daughter happily return to her artwork, something crystallized inside me. A cold, clear certainty that would change everything. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just picked up my daughter's crayons off the floor and made my decision. They wanted to laugh? Fine. But they were about to learn an important lesson about karma, family, and the true cost of betrayal. I watched the video 17 times that day, each viewing carving the betrayal deeper into my heart. After dropping Ella at school, I sat in my car in the parking lot, letting the recording play through my earbuds one more time. She's so desperate for approval, Laura's voice dripped with mockery. Did you see how she kept thanking Paula for watching Ella? Well, she's paying us enough to be grateful, Kyler chuckled. The clink of expensive wine glasses punctuated his words. Maybe we should start charging by the hour. My mother's response made my stomach turn. At least Andrew taught her one useful thing, how to hand over money without asking questions. I paused the video, staring at the dark screen that showed nothing but the inside of Ella's backpack. The steakhouse they were at, Morton's, was visible through my windshield across the street. The same one they'd said was too expensive for Ella's graduation dinner. My phone buzzed, a text from Laura. Taking Ella to the park after school today. Quality aunt time. I typed back, Actually, I'll pick her up. Thanks, though. The response was immediate. Oh no, are you sure? We had such fun plans. Fun plans? Like accidentally recording yourself mocking her mother? Yes, I'm sure. I put my phone on silent and pulled out my banking app. $3,200, transferred faithfully every month, for 3 months. That's $9,600 they'd taken while laughing behind my back. The restaurant door opened, and I watched as the lunch crowd began filtering in. Men and women in business suits, families celebrating special occasions. I wondered how many of them were sitting on secrets like mine. My phone lit up again. Kyler this time. Hey, sis, everything okay? Laura said you canceled Park Day. I took a deep breath before responding. Everything's fine. Just want some mother-daughter time. You know you can talk to me if something's wrong, right? That's what big brothers are for. The same big brother who'd just been recorded mocking my voice, my pain, my trust. I closed the messages without responding and opened my email instead. There, buried under promotional emails and bill reminders, was the one from Zara, my best friend. Women's Entrepreneurship Grant. Applications due next week. I'd ignored it when she first sent it, too focused on family healing to think about my own future. Now I clicked the link and started reading. The afternoon crawled by as I worked my customer service job remotely from a local coffee shop. Every call I took, every email I answered, I thought about that video, about the way they laughed, about how my mother, my own mother, had used my trauma for dinner entertainment. At 2:45, I pulled up to Ella's school. She bounced into the car, pigtails swinging. Mommy, I thought Aunt Laura was picking me up. Change of plans, baby. I thought we could have our own special afternoon. How about ice cream? Her face lit up. Can we get the rainbow sprinkles? All the sprinkles you want. At the ice cream parlor, watching Ella create a masterpiece of vanilla ice cream and multicolored toppings, I made my second decision of the day. Hey, sweetie, what would you think about having our own place? Just you and me? She looked up, sprinkle falling from her spoon. Like a house? Maybe an apartment first, something cozy, with room for all your art supplies. Could I paint my room? Any color you want. She considered this seriously, then asked, "Would Grandma come visit?" The question hit like a punch to the gut, but I kept my voice steady. "We'll see, but it would be our special place, our fresh start." "Like when we left Daddy?" "Something like that." That evening, back at my mother's house, I watched them all perform their roles. Laura gushed about how much she'd missed Ella today. Kyler ruffled my hair as he passed through the kitchen. My mother served dinner with her usual flourish. "I made your favorite," she said, setting down a plate of chicken marsala. "You seemed a little down earlier." I forced a smile. "Thanks, Mom. That's so thoughtful." She beamed, and I wondered how I'd never noticed before how her smile never quite reached her eyes. After dinner, I tucked Ella into bed and sat down at the small desk in our shared room. I opened my laptop and created a new document. At the top, I typed exit strategy. Below that, I began my list. 1. Apply for entrepreneurship grant. 2. Find apartment. 3. Document all payments. 4. Set up separate bank account. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Laura. "Missing my favorite niece already. Park day tomorrow instead?" I left it unanswered and returned to my list. They thought they had me figured out. The wounded bird, the desperate daughter, the cash cow. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The next morning, I waited until everyone was gathered for breakfast before dropping my carefully crafted bomb. "I need to talk to you all about something," I said, watching their faces over my coffee cup. "There's been a change at work." My mother paused mid-bite. "What kind of change?" "They're restructuring. My hours are being cut, and—" I let my voice crack slightly. "Andrew's lawyer says there's going to be a delay with child support." The shift in the room was immediate and palpable. Kyler's fork clattered against his plate. Laura's smile froze. My mother's eyes narrowed. "How long of a delay?" Kyler asked, his tone already different. "A few months, maybe longer. I won't be able to contribute the same amount for a while. Maybe—" I swallowed hard, playing my part. "Maybe nothing at all for a bit." The silence that followed was deafening. Ella, bless her heart, continued happily munching her cereal, oblivious to the tension. My mother cleared her throat. "Well, that's concerning. We've arranged our budget around your contribution." "I know, Mom. I'm so sorry." I blinked rapidly, as if fighting tears. "I'll try to figure something out." "You should call Andrew," Laura chimed in, her voice syrupy sweet. "Remind him of his responsibilities." I wanted to remind her of how she'd mocked those same responsibilities at the steakhouse, but instead I just nodded meekly. The changes started that very day. My mother had a migraine and couldn't watch Ella after school. Kyler was suddenly swamped at work and couldn't help with weekend activities. Laura's daily texts about playdates dried up. A week later, I got the first call from Ella's school. "Mrs. Wolfe, Ella's still waiting to be picked up. We've been trying to reach your emergency contacts." My heart raced as I left work early. When I arrived, Ella sat alone on the school steps, her small shoulders slumped. "Grandma forgot?" I asked gently, knowing the answer. She nodded. "She's not answering her phone, but I saw her car at the mall when we drove past." That night I found my mother in the kitchen calmly preparing dinner. "You left my daughter waiting at school," I said, keeping my voice level. She didn't even turn around. "I told Kyler to pick her up." "No, you didn't. I checked with him." "Well, I'm not a professional babysitter, Giselle. Perhaps you should look into after-school programs. They have payment plans for people in financial difficulties." The contempt in her voice made my skin crawl, but I forced myself to remain calm. "I'll figure something out." Later that night, my phone lit up with a text from Zara. "Did you apply for that women's grant I told you about last month?" I glanced at Ella, sleeping peacefully in her bed, then at the wall we shared with my mother's room. Through it, I could hear her on the phone, probably with Laura, probably talking about me. "Not yet," I typed back, "but I'm going to." The next few weeks were a masterclass in passive-aggressive behavior. My mother's forgetfulness became chronic. Kyler's excuses grew more elaborate. Laura stopped acknowledging my existence entirely. The final straw came when I overheard my mother on the phone in her study. "Of course we can't kick them out. How would that look? But there are ways to encourage independence." "Yes, Laura, I know it's hard on you all." "No, I don't know where she's going to get the money." "Well, she got herself into this mess." That evening I sat with Ella during her bath time, watching her make her rubber duck dive for imaginary treasure. "Baby, remember when we talked about having our own place?" She looked up, water dripping from her nose. "With my rainbow room?" "That's right. How would you feel if we started looking soon?" She splashed excitedly. "Can we get bunk beds?" "We can look at bunk beds," I laughed, then grew serious. "But we need to keep it a secret for now, okay? Like a special mission." She drew an X over her heart with a wet finger. "Cross my heart. I'm good at secrets, Mommy." After tucking her in, I opened my laptop and pulled up the grant application. The question seemed to stare back at me. "Describe your business plan. How will this grant impact your future? What makes you uniquely qualified?" I began typing, my fingers flying across the keyboard. With each word, I felt stronger, more determined. They thought they were pushing me out? They had no idea they were actually setting me free. My phone buzzed with another group text from Laura. "Family game night Friday. Who's in?" I smiled as I typed my response. "Count us in." Let them think I was desperate. Let them think I was breaking. Their performance was almost over. They just didn't know it yet. My bedroom transformed into a war room after everyone went to sleep. Spreadsheets replaced family photos on my desk. Bank statements and receipts filled my drawers. Each night, I documented everything meticulously, while Ella's gentle breathing provided the soundtrack to my rebellion. "Look at this place," Zara whispered during her secret visit, eyeing the rundown apartment complex. "Are you sure?" I turned the key in the lock of Unit 2B, pushing open the door to reveal peeling wallpaper and scuffed floors. "It's not pretty, but it's clean. Safe neighborhood, good school district, and most importantly," I stepped inside, breathing deeply. "This smells like peace." Zara walked the space, testing light switches, checking water pressure. "The security deposit?" "I've been selling things online, small stuff Mom and Kyler won't notice missing, plus the money I've saved by not buying groceries since they started forgetting to pick them up." "Smart girl." Zara pulled out her checkbook. "I'm covering the other half. Don't argue. You can pay me back when the grant comes through." That afternoon, I signed the lease while Ella was at her art class, another activity my family had deemed non-essential since my supposed financial crisis. "When can we move in?" I asked the property manager. "Keys are yours now, but it needs a good cleaning." "Perfect. I could work on it during my family's upcoming weekend trip, the one they'd conveniently forgotten to invite us to." Back at my mother's house, I maintained the appearance of defeated dependency. I let them see me clipping coupons, making worried phone calls about bills, accepting their thinly veiled suggestions about job hunting. "There's always retail," my mother said over dinner. "They hire anyone." I nodded meekly while calculating how many boxes I could pack during their absence. The next morning, Ella surprised me by presenting a drawing at breakfast. "Look, Mommy, it's our new home." My heart stopped. Across the table, my mother's fork paused midway to her mouth. "New home?" Ella, bless her innocent heart, began to speak, but I quickly jumped in. "She means her dollhouse, Mom. We've been watching home renovation shows. Right, baby?" Ella's eyes widened slightly, then she caught on. "Yeah, I want to make my dollhouse all pretty." That evening I pulled her aside. "Remember our secret mission?" She nodded solemnly. "I almost told. I'm sorry, Mommy." "It's okay, sweetheart. but we need to be extra careful now, like spies." Her eyes lit up. "Can I have a code name?" "Of course. What would you like?" "Rainbow Agent." Over the next week, Rainbow Agent and I worked our covert operation. While I cleaned and prepped the new apartment during my lunch breaks, Ella carefully sorted her toys into keep and donate piles, hiding them under her bed. Zara helped move the bigger items piece by piece, storing them in the new place. Each night I'd pack one box. Each morning, she'd pick it up on her way to work. "Your grant application looks good," she told me during one handoff. "The committee meets next week." The weekend of the family trip arrived. As they pulled out of the driveway, my mother called back, "Try not to mess up the house while we're gone." "Have fun," I waved, already mentally mapping out our moving schedule. The moment their car disappeared, Ella and I sprang into action. Zara arrived with her truck, and we worked through the night. By Sunday evening, our rooms were empty, except for the furniture that had been there when we arrived. I stood in the new apartment, surrounded by boxes, watching Ella twirl in her empty room. "Can we paint it now, Mommy? Rainbow colors?" "Soon, baby. First, we have to go back to Grandma's for a few more days. Remember why?" She nodded. "So they don't suspect our secret mission, and because you're waiting for the special letter about your business." "That's right. Just a little longer." We returned to my mother's house Sunday night, everything appearing unchanged. When they returned Monday evening, full of stories about their weekend, I listened politely while feeding Ella dinner. "You should have come," Laura said, not meaning it at all. "The resort was amazing." "Maybe next time," I replied, knowing there wouldn't be one. That night, as I tucked Ella into bed in our nearly empty room, she whispered, "Mommy, are we winning?" I kissed her forehead, thinking of the grant committee meeting later that week, of our fresh start waiting just around the corner, of the look on their faces when they realized we'd slipped away right under their noses. "Yes, baby, we're winning." My phone buzzed, an email notification about the grant application. Subject line, "Committee decision meeting, tomorrow, 9 a.m. I smiled in the darkness. One way or another, our time here was almost done. They thought they were pushing us out, but really they were pushing us towards something better. Tomorrow would tell us just how much better it could be. The email arrived during my lunch break. "Congratulations! We are pleased to inform you that your grant application has been approved for the full amount of $10,000. My hands shook as I forwarded it to Zara, adding only, "We did it." Her response came instantly. "Yes! Operation Freedom is go!" I spent the afternoon in a daze, fielding customer service calls while mentally calculating my next moves. The grant money would hit my account in 3 business days. 3 days to maintain the charade of desperate dependency. That evening, my mother cornered me in the kitchen. "Giselle, we need to discuss your situation." I looked up from the pot of mac and cheese I was stirring, Ella's favorite dinner. "What situation?" "This financial difficulty. It's been weeks now. We can't keep supporting you without compensation." I stirred the pasta slowly, remembering the steakhouse video. "I understand, Mom. I'm trying my best. Perhaps it's time to consider moving to a smaller place. There's a women's shelter that—" "A shelter?" I let my voice crack. "You want us to go to a shelter?" She placed her hand on my shoulder, her fingers cold. "Sometimes we need to hit bottom before we can climb up." Later, I heard her on the phone with Kyler. "I think she finally gets it. She'll be out soon enough." The next morning, I visited my bank. The manager reviewed my documentation. 3 months of cash withdrawals, all marked rent, with no formal lease or receipts. "Since there's no written agreement," she explained, "and all withdrawals were made by you personally, legally these funds are still yours to move." One signature later, I'd reclaimed every penny they'd taken while mocking me behind my back. That afternoon, while everyone was at work, Zara helped me transform the new apartment. Simple furniture from discount stores, bright curtains, and most importantly, rainbow colors for Ella's room. "This place looks amazing," Zara said, helping me hang a string of fairy lights. "They're going to lose their minds." "They're going to lose more than that," I replied, thinking of the monthly payments they'd gotten used to receiving. That evening, I sent a single group text, a photo of a freshly made bed with the caption, "Thanks for helping me find out what I don't need anymore." The responses were immediate. Laura, "What is this?" Kyler, "Where are you?" Mom, "Call me immediately." I turned off my phone and helped Ella with her homework in our new kitchen, the sound of her pencil scratching paper more soothing than any family dinner had ever been. The next morning, I dropped Ella at her new school, just 3 blocks from our apartment. Her teacher, already briefed on our situation, gave me a reassuring smile. "She'll be fine," she promised. "We've got extra security measures in place." At work, I logged into my newly established business website. The handmade products I'd been secretly creating, custom planners, organization systems, and home management tools, were already generating interest. My phone buzzed constantly with messages from family. "This is completely inappropriate. After everything we've done for you, you can't just disappear." Around noon, my mother played her final card. "I'm calling Andrew. He needs to know you're having some kind of breakdown." I finally responded, "Andrew already knows. He's agreed to send all future support payments to my new address. Have a nice life." Then I blocked them. All of them. That evening, Ella and I celebrated with pizza on our living room floor, sitting on cushions because our furniture wouldn't arrive until tomorrow. "Mommy," she said, cheese stretching from her slice, "is Grandma mad at us?" I set down my pizza. "Probably, but sometimes people get mad when you stop letting them hurt you." "Like when Daddy got mad when we left?" "Exactly like that. But look at us now. We're okay, right?" She looked around our small but bright apartment, at her backpack by the door, at the rainbow walls we'd painted together. "We're better than okay. We're happy." My phone lit up with a text from Zara. "Laura's posting on Facebook. Want to see?" "Hit me." She sent a screenshot. "Family means forgiveness, but some people prefer to run away from their problems. SMH." I laughed out loud, startling Ella. "What's funny, Mommy?" "Just grown-up stuff, baby. Hey, want to help me pack some orders for my new business?" She bounced up excitedly. "Can I put the stickers on?" "You're the official sticker manager." As we worked together, labeling packages for my first customers, I thought about my mother's words. Sometimes we need to hit bottom before we can climb up. She was right, but what she didn't realize was that their bottom was about to start the moment we disappeared from their lives. And our climb? We were already soaring. The first of the month arrived like a thunderclap. My phone exploded with notifications before I'd even finished my morning coffee. "Kyler, where's the money?" "Mom, we need to talk now." "Laura, this is getting ridiculous." I sipped my coffee, watching Ella get ready for school in her new uniform. She twirled in front of the mirror, adjusting her headband. "Ready for another day, Rainbow Agent?" She gave me a salute. "Mission, learn multiplication." After dropping her off, I parked in front of my favorite coffee shop and opened my email. Time to end this once and for all. To family group. Subject goodbye. By now you've noticed the money hasn't arrived. It won't be arriving ever again. I know about the steakhouse dinner. I have the recording of you mocking me, laughing at my pain, and planning to milk me for more money. Every penny I gave you has been legally reclaimed. Don't bother threatening legal action. I've already consulted a lawyer. Everything was done by the book. Ella and I are safe, happy, and far from your toxic influence. Don't try to contact us. You're all blocked on every platform. Any attempts to reach us will be documented and handled legally if necessary. Mom, remember when you said I needed to hit bottom? Thanks for showing me exactly what that looks like. Kyler, keep practicing that impression of me. It'll be all you have left. Laura, Enjoy those expensive dinners without my money. P.S. The women's shelter you suggested? They're now my business's first charitable partner. Karma really is beautiful. I hit send and waited. Within minutes, my phone lit up with incoming calls. I blocked each number methodically, like pulling weeds from a garden. Then came the emails. Mom, you ungrateful child, after everything we've done. Block. Kyler, you're making a huge mistake. Mom's crying. Block. Laura, real mature, running away instead of talking. Block. A text from an unknown number. This is Olive. They're all freaking out. What did you do? Block. By lunchtime, they'd recruited flying monkeys. Distant relatives and family friends started reaching out. Your mother is devastated. Family should work things out. Think of what this is doing to Ella. I blocked them all, one by one, feeling lighter with each tap of the screen. That afternoon, during my business's first live stream workshop on financial independence, my laptop pinged with a Facebook message from Laura. You think you're so clever? Wait until everyone hears what an unstable mess you are. Andrew will love this. I smiled at the camera and continued my presentation. And this, ladies, is why documenting everything is crucial. Screenshots, recordings, bank statements, they're your armor when people try to gaslight you. The comments section filled with hearts and supportive messages. My first workshop was a success, and Laura's threat meant nothing. Andrew, my ex, had already signed off on our new address and arrangements. That evening, Ella and I baked cookies in our tiny kitchen. The smell of vanilla and chocolate filled our apartment, erasing any lingering traces of doubt. Mommy, can I ask something? Always, baby. Is Grandma sad that we left? I put down the spatula and knelt to her level. Probably, but remember what we talked about? Sometimes people are sad because they can't control you anymore, not because they miss you. She nodded sagely. Like when Madison got mad because I wouldn't give her my lunch dessert anymore? Exactly like that. My phone buzzed, a video call request from my mother. I declined it and added the number to my blocked list. Later, after Ella was asleep, I checked my email one last time. A new message from an unfamiliar address caught my eye. Giselle, it's Paula. Your behavior is shocking and childish. We took you in when you had nothing. We supported you. And this is how you repay us? By stealing back money you freely gave and running away? What example are you setting for Ella? We demand an explanation in person. If you don't respond, we'll be forced to take action. I forwarded it to my lawyer with a single line, adding this to the documentation. Then I opened my business planning notebook and began sketching out next month's workshop topics. Setting boundaries, financial independence, toxic family dynamics, breaking free. My phone lit up with one final text from Zara. How you holding up, warrior? I looked around my peaceful apartment, at Ella's artwork proudly displayed on the fridge, at the growing list of workshop signups on my laptop. Never better, I replied. Freedom feels amazing. I could almost hear their voices from the steakhouse video. She thinks she's buying herself a new family. They were wrong. I wasn't buying a new family. I was investing in our freedom. So let me get this straight. My therapist Sarah leaned forward in her chair. You moved out, reclaimed your money, and blocked them all without a single confrontation? Yes. I shifted in my seat. Was that wrong? She sat back, a slight smile playing on her lips. You didn't burn the bridge. You built the exit. News of the fallout reached me through various channels over the next few weeks. Zara, still connected to Laura on social media, kept me updated. Kyler and Laura are separated, she reported during our weekly coffee meetup. Apparently, he blamed her for pushing the whole milk Giselle for money thing. I stirred my latte. And my mother? Her latest Facebook post is about ungrateful children and karma coming back around. Oh, and get this. The roof in her kitchen started leaking. She can't afford the repairs. The roof that my money would have fixed. Irony had a sense of humor. My business was thriving. The workshops had a waiting list, and my planners were selling faster than I could make them. Local women's shelters started referring their clients to my financial independence seminars. One morning, while checking my business email, I found a message from Olive. I know I don't deserve a response, but I need to apologize. I sat there during that dinner listening to them mock you and said nothing. I was a coward. They're all falling apart without you, and honestly, they deserve it. I'm sorry, Giselle. I really am. I marked it as read and moved on. Apologies were nice, but they didn't change the past. Ella flourished in her new school. Her teacher called me in for a conference, but not for the reasons I feared. She's helping other kids, Mrs. Rodriguez explained. Yesterday she told Madison, it's okay to say no to mean friends. Where does she get this wisdom? I thought of all our talks about boundaries and strength. She's been through a lot. We both have. That evening during dinner, Ella asked, can I take art classes after school? Jenny says they're really fun. 6 months ago, this request would have sent me into a panic, wondering how to afford it while sending money to my family. Now, I simply pulled up the registration form on my phone. Which day works better for you, Tuesday or Thursday? Her eyes lit up. Just like that? Just like that, baby. Later that night, Zara sent me another update. Your mom's house is becoming the neighborhood eyesore. Kyler moved in with her since Laura kicked him out. They're both playing victim on social media. I was about to respond when my phone rang. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Hello? Giselle? It was my cousin James, someone I hadn't spoken to in years. Look, I know you probably don't want to hear this, but things are bad. Kyler's drinking, your mom's falling apart, Laura's telling everyone who'll listen about how you stole from them. Interesting version of events, I replied coolly. Did they mention the recording, the mocking, the manipulation? Silence on his end. Then, no, they didn't. That's what I thought. Goodbye, James. I hung up and blocked his number too. The next morning during my workshop, a participant raised her hand. How do you deal with the guilt when family tries to make you feel bad for choosing yourself? I thought about James's call, about Olive's email, about my mother's leaking roof. Guilt is their weapon, I answered. Your peace is your shield. Which one do you want to carry? That weekend, Ella and I painted her room, finally completing the rainbow design she'd dreamed of. As we worked, she hummed happily, occasionally adding extra stars to the galaxy corner she'd insisted on. Mommy? Yes, baby? Remember when Grandma used to forget to pick me up from school? I paused, brush mid-stroke. Yes. I like it better now. Nobody forgets me anymore. I hugged her, not caring about the paint stains we were getting on our clothes. Nobody ever will again. That evening, as I was updating my business accounts, a notification popped up, another unknown number calling. This time, I let it go to voicemail. The message was brief. Giselle, it's Mom. Please, we need to talk. I saved the voicemail as evidence and blocked the number. My therapist was right. I hadn't burned the bridge. I'd built something better, a life where bridges weren't needed anymore. Ella appeared in my office doorway, pajama-clad and sleepy. Can you read me a story? Of course. I closed my laptop, leaving the past behind where it belonged. Which one tonight? She grinned. The one about the brave princess who saves herself. I smiled, taking her hand. That's my favorite, too. The voicemail from my mother played in my mind as I set up for my largest workshop yet. Zara helped arrange chairs while I tested the microphone. Ready for this? She asked, adjusting a banner that read, Financial Freedom and Family Boundaries Workshop. More than ready. The room filled quickly, 40 women, each carrying their own story of family trauma and financial manipulation. I recognized some faces from the local shelters, others from my online community. Before we begin, I said into the microphone, I want to share something personal. This morning I received my 100th voicemail from my mother. The room grew quiet. She said what she always says, We miss Ella. I miss you. You can't just erase family. But here's what I've learned. Family isn't something you erase. It's something you choose. A woman in the front row wiped her eyes. Today, we're not just talking about money management. We're talking about worth. Your worth isn't measured by how much abuse you can tolerate or how many chances you give toxic people. My phone buzzed. Another unknown number. I held it up. See this? Probably my brother using a new number. Watch. I declined the call and blocked it, drawing appreciative murmurs from the audience. That simple action took me months of therapy to learn. Today we'll talk about why it's okay to make it that simple. After the workshop, while packing up, Zara showed me her phone. Laura's selling their house. Apparently the separation is permanent. Good for her, I said, surprising myself by meaning it. She posted something interesting too. Sometimes being the villain in someone else's story makes you realize you were the villain in your own. I shouldered my bag. Sounds like therapy's working for her. At home, Ella greeted me with excitement. Mommy, look what I made in art class. She held up a family portrait. 2 figures stood under a rainbow, just us. It's beautiful, baby. Want to hang it on the fridge? No, she grinned. I want to hang it in your office so your students can see what a real family looks like. That night, after tucking her in, I found an email from Olive. Thought you should know. Mom's selling the house. Kyler's drinking got worse. Laura's in therapy and actually doing well. They all talk about you constantly, but not like before. Now it's about how you showed them who they really were. Mom keeps saying she never thought you'd actually leave. Guess she learned. I started to delete it, then stopped. Instead, I created a new folder labeled Closure and filed it there. My phone lit up with a text from Zara. Coffee tomorrow? Big news. Can't, I replied, teaching Ella how to make friendship bracelets. She's starting a business. Like mother, like daughter. The next morning during breakfast, Ella asked the question I'd been expecting. Do you think Grandma really misses us? I put down my toast. I think she misses who she wanted us to be, people she could control, but that's not who we are anymore. I don't miss her, Ella said quietly. Is that bad? No, baby. It means you understand what real love feels like now. She nodded, returning to her cereal. I like me better with just us. Later that day, during my one-on-one coaching session with a client, she asked me the same question they all eventually ask. Don't you ever feel guilty? I glanced at Ella's artwork on my office wall, our little 2-person family under a rainbow. Guilt is the tax we think we have to pay for choosing ourselves. But here's the truth. The best revenge isn't making them suffer. It's living so fully that their absence becomes their punishment. That evening, as Ella and I worked on her business plan for friendship bracelets, my mother's latest voicemail played in my head. You can't just erase family. She was right about one thing. I was trying to buy a new family, and I did. We're thriving. Ella looked up from her colorful string collection. Mommy, can we make a special bracelet? For who, baby? For us. Half on my wrist, half on yours, so we're always connected. As we braided the threads together, I thought about connections, the ones we're born with, the ones we choose, the ones we break, and the ones we build. My mother wanted to talk about family. This was family. Right here, making friendship bracelets with my daughter, building a business, healing together. They said I couldn't make it alone, but I was never alone. I had the only family member I needed sitting right across from me, carefully knotting rainbow threads into something beautiful, something unbreakable, just like us.
The email notification pinged at exactly 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday that changed everything. Congratulations, Avery. You've been promoted to Senior Director of Financial Operations, effective immediately. I stared at my laptop screen in the cramped coffee shop where I'd been stress eating a stale blueberry muffin for the past hour. 6 years. 6 years of 60-hour weeks, missed birthdays, canceled dates, and saying no to every fun thing my friends invited me to. all for this moment. My name is Avery, and I'm 29 years old. I work in corporate finance, which means I spend my days making rich people richer while living off ramen and the occasional splurge at Target. But this promotion? This was my ticket out of paycheck to paycheck anxiety and into actual financial security. I called my mom immediately. Caroline Harrison speaking. She always answered like she was running a business instead of sitting in her pajamas watching daytime TV. Mom, I got it. The promotion. Silence. Then, oh, honey, that's wonderful. Listen, can you come over? I really need to talk to you about something important. The drive to her apartment took 20 minutes, but I spent the entire time buzzing with excitement. Maybe she'd actually be proud of me for once. Maybe we'd celebrate together. Maybe she'd finally see me as more than just the responsible daughter who fixed everyone else's problems. I knocked twice before she opened the door. Caroline looked terrible, dark circles under her eyes, unwashed hair pulled into a messy bun, wearing the same floral robe she'd had since I was in high school. Come in, sweetheart. Sit down. Her living room was cluttered with medical bills scattered across the coffee table like confetti from hell, envelopes marked "Final Notice" in angry red letters, a calculator with numbers that made my stomach drop. Mom, what is all this? She sank into her chair and started crying. Not the delicate tears she used when she wanted sympathy, real ugly sobs that shook her whole body. The surgery last year, the complications, the second surgery, insurance covered some of it, but she gestured helplessly at the papers. $48,000, Avery. They're threatening to garnish my wages. Gus says they might put a lien on the apartment. Gus, her boyfriend of 2 years, who somehow always had money for golf, but never for groceries. Mom, why didn't you tell me sooner? Because you were working so hard and I didn't want to burden you, and I kept thinking I could figure it out myself, but... She looked up at me with desperate eyes. You just got promoted, right? You'll be making more money now? The question hung in the air like smoke. I looked at those bills, at my mother's tear-stained face, at the woman who'd raised me and my sister Mallory after Dad died when I was 16. How much do you need? All of it. The whole $48,000. I know it's a lot, but you're the only one who can help me. Mallory's still trying to get her art career off the ground, and I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. My savings account showed $52,847.23. 4 years of living like a monk, eating peanut butter sandwiches for dinner, driving a car held together with duct tape and prayer. I can transfer it right now. Really? Her face lit up like Christmas morning. Oh, Avery, you're a miracle. You're my miracle daughter. I don't know what I'd do without you. She hugged me then, really hugged me, and for the first time in years, I felt like I mattered to her, like I was more than just a safety net or a backup plan. I transferred the money while she watched over my shoulder, both of us staring at my account balance as it dropped to $4,047.23. I'll pay you back, she said, but we both knew she wouldn't. We both knew this was just what I did. I fixed things. I paid for things. I made problems disappear. Don't worry about it, Mom. Family takes care of family, right? She squeezed my hand. I always knew you'd pay everything off eventually. You're just that kind of person. Something about the way she said it felt strange, but I was too exhausted to analyze it. I'd just given away my entire financial cushion, but seeing her relief made it worth it. 2 weeks later, I was scrolling through Instagram during my lunch break when I saw it. Mallory's latest post, a photo of her beaming next to a brand new white Lexus with a giant red bow on the hood. The caption read, "Thanks to Mom for the amazing surprise. Best early birthday gift ever. Shah blessed Shah new car, Shah Mom's love." I stared at the screen until my eyes burned. $48,000. I drove to my mother's apartment at 7 a.m. the next morning. No phone call, no warning. I used my spare key and walked straight into her kitchen where she was making coffee in that same ratty robe. "Avery, what are you doing here so early?" I held up my phone with Mallory's Instagram post still open. Explain this. Caroline glanced at the screen and shrugged. Oh, that. Isn't it lovely? Mallory's been having such a hard time lately with her art not selling, and she needed reliable transportation for her freelance jobs. With what money? Well, I had some savings set aside and… Mom, my voice came out flat and cold. I transferred you $48,000 2 weeks ago, every penny of my savings. And now Mallory has a brand new Lexus. Caroline's face shifted into that familiar expression I'd seen 1,000 times growing up. The look she got when she was about to make me feel guilty for questioning her. Avery, honey, you're being dramatic. The car was only $35,000, and I got a good deal because Gus knows someone at the dealership. The rest went to the medical bills, just like I said. Show me the receipts. Excuse me? The hospital payments? The receipts? Show me proof that my money went to your medical debt? She turned back to her coffee maker, suddenly very interested in adding cream. I don't need to prove anything to you. You gave me that money as a gift to help your family. I gave you that money to pay off your hospital bills, not to buy Mallory a luxury car. Mallory needed help. She's struggling, Avery. Not everyone can be successful like you. Some of us have to help the ones who need it most. I felt something snap inside my chest. What about when I needed help? What about when I was working 3 jobs in college while Mallory got her tuition paid for? What about when I ate ramen for 6 months to save up for my security deposit while you sent her to Europe for that art program? That's different. You've always been independent. You don't need… I needed a mother who didn't treat me like an ATM. Caroline slammed her coffee mug down on the counter. How dare you speak to me like that? After everything I've done for you, I raised you and your sister alone after your father died. I sacrificed everything. You sacrificed nothing. I've been paying for Mallory's mistakes since I was 18. Her credit card debt, her rent when she quit that gallery job, her car repairs, her… She's your sister, and I'm your daughter. But apparently that only matters when you need money. Caroline's eyes filled with crocodile tears. I can't believe you're being so selfish, so ungrateful. I thought you understood what family means. I pulled out my phone and started scrolling through my banking app. You want to talk about family? Let's talk numbers. In the past 5 years, I've given you and Mallory over $60,000. $60,000. And what have I gotten back? Not even a thank you card. We've thanked you. When? When have either of you ever thanked me for anything? When have you ever asked how I'm doing, or if I need help, or if I'm okay? She stared at me like I'd grown a second head. You don't need help. You have a good job. You're successful. I ate peanut butter sandwiches for dinner for 4 years to save that money. I drove a car with no air conditioning through 2 summers because I couldn't afford to fix it. I haven't bought new clothes in 18 months. But sure, I don't need help. Caroline crossed her arms. Well, what's done is done. I can't exactly return the car now. Actually, you can. I looked it up. The car is registered in my name. Her face went white. What? The car loan. It's in my name, isn't it? Because Mallory's credit is trash and you don't have any income. You used my credit to buy her that car. That's just a technicality. For the financing. I smiled for the first time in weeks. If it's in my name, that means I own it, which means I can take it back. Avery, you wouldn't… Watch me. I headed for the door, but Caroline grabbed my arm. Please don't do this. Mallory loves that car. It's the first nice thing she's ever had. It's the first nice thing I ever bought her, with my money that you stole. I didn't steal anything. You gave me that money to pay your medical bills, not to play favorites with your daughters. Caroline's mask finally slipped completely. Fine, yes, I used some of your money for the car, but Mallory deserves nice things too. She's been through so much, and you'll be fine. You always land on your feet. I stared at her. There it is, the truth. What truth? You never saw me as your daughter. You saw me as Mallory's sponsor. I walked out and didn't look back. The DMV opened at 8 a.m. sharp. I was there at 7:45, first in line with a folder full of documents. I need to update the registration on this vehicle, I told the clerk, sliding the paperwork across the counter. Remove all other authorized users. She looked at the loan documents, the insurance papers, the registration. Everything was in my name, my credit, my responsibility, my car. Any particular reason for the change? Family dispute. She stamped the new registration 20 minutes later. The white Lexus was now 100% mine, legally and completely. Next stop, reliable towing on 5th Street. I need a car picked up, I told the guy behind the bulletproof glass. It's at 1247 Maple Grove Apartments, Unit 3B, white Lexus, license plate. I read off the number from Mallory's Instagram post. You got the title? I slid the pink slip through the slot. When do you want it done? Tomorrow morning. Early, like 6 a.m. early. Cash up front, $200. I paid without hesitation. My phone started buzzing at 6:23 a.m. the next day, text after text flooding in. Mallory, what the hell, Avery? Mallory, where is my car? Mallory, you can't just steal someone's car. Caroline, Avery, call me right now. This is insane. Caroline, how could you do this to your sister? Mallory, I'm calling the police. Caroline, we need to talk. This has gone too far. I let them blow up my phone for 3 hours while I sat in my office, drinking coffee and actually getting work done for the first time in weeks. Around 9:30, I opened our family group chat, the one Caroline had created years ago called My Girls, and typed a single message. Check your facts before you call the police. Then I sent a photo of the car title with my name highlighted in yellow, followed by a screenshot of the loan documents. You bought her nothing. I did. The chat went silent for exactly 4 minutes. Then Mallory called me directly. Avery, please, I didn't know... You didn't know what? That I paid for it? Mom said she had savings. Mom lied. Like she always does. But I need that car for work. I have 3 freelance gigs this week and... Should have thought about that before you posted it on Instagram like you won the lottery. I was just excited. I've never had anything nice before. Neither have I, Mallory, but I worked for it instead of waiting for someone else to hand it to me. She started crying. This isn't fair. You're being cruel. What's cruel is watching your sister drain her savings to help your mother, then finding out that money bought you a luxury car. I'll pay you back. With what money? You haven't paid me back for anything else. The line went quiet except for her sniffling. Where's my car, Avery? My car is in a secure lot, where it's staying. I hung up. By noon, Mallory had posted a TikTok video. Someone sent me the link. She was sitting in her apartment, makeup smeared, holding a tissue box. So my older sister literally stole my car this morning, she said to the camera. Like, had it towed while I was sleeping? This is the same sister who makes 6 figures and lives in a nice apartment, but she couldn't stand seeing me have one nice thing. The video already had 50,000 views and hundreds of comments calling me a psycho, a narcissist, an abusive sister. She's always been jealous of me, Mallory continued, ever since we were kids, and now she's using her money to control and manipulate our family. I don't even know who she is anymore. Caroline had shared the video on Facebook with the caption, "Heartbroken watching my youngest daughter go through this. Some people let success change them." My phone rang. Jude's name on the screen. Jesus Christ, Avery. I just saw Mallory's TikTok. What the hell is going on? Jude and I had dated for 2 years in college, stayed friends after we broke up. He worked in real estate now, knew about contracts and legal stuff. I took back the car I paid for. Apparently that makes me a monster. Wait, you paid for her car? $48,000. Every penny of my savings. Mom said it was for medical bills. And it wasn't? 35 went to the Lexus. The rest? I don't even know where it went. Holy shit. Do you have documentation? Bank transfers, loan papers, registration, everything. Avery, if they're posting stuff online calling you abusive, you need to protect yourself. Can you prove the money trail? Every transaction. Good, because this could get ugly fast. How many people are seeing that video? I refresh the page. 87,000 views now. Damn. Look, I know some things about asset recovery and family disputes. Want to grab coffee? I think you're going to need help with this. Why would you help me? Because I know you, and I know you wouldn't do this unless they really screwed you over. I looked at my phone again. The comments on Mallory's video were getting worse. People were calling me every name in the book. Someone had even found my LinkedIn profile and was leaving nasty reviews on my company's page. Coffee sounds good. One more thing, Avery. That car, you planning to keep it? I haven't decided yet. Well, decide fast. Because if this goes viral, you're going to need a strategy that makes you look like the victim, not the villain. I hung up and stared at Mallory's TikTok again. The view count kept climbing. They wanted to play this game in public? Fine. I had receipts. Jude was already at our usual coffee shop when I arrived. A stack of papers spread across the table and his laptop open. Okay, show me everything, he said without preamble. I pulled out my folder and started laying out documents. Bank statements, transfer receipts, screenshots of text messages, the car loan paperwork, insurance documents. Jude whistled low. This is thorough. You always were organized. He picked up the bank transfer receipt. $48,000 to your mom's account on March 15th. Car purchased March 18th for $35,000. Where did the other 13 grand go? That's what I want to know. He pulled up something on his laptop. I did some digging on your mom's boyfriend, Gus, right? Guy's got some interesting financial history. What kind of interesting? 3 bankruptcies in the past decade, currently owes back taxes to the IRS. And get this, he's listed as a co-signer on your mom's apartment lease as of last month. So $13,000 is exactly what someone would need for first month, last month, security deposit, and moving costs on a place like that. I stared at him. You think they moved in together using my money? I think your mom's medical debt story was bullshit from day one. He turned his laptop toward me. Look at this. The screen showed a public records search. Caroline's medical bills from last year, the ones she'd shown me scattered across her coffee table, had been settled through insurance and a hospital payment plan 6 months ago. She already paid them off? Yep, monthly payments of $400 automatically deducted from her checking account. Started in September, finished in February, 3 weeks before she asked you for money. My hands started shaking. She lied about everything. Gets worse. I pulled the car dealership records. I know a guy there. The Lexus wasn't bought with cash. It was financed, but the down payment was exactly $13,000. Your mom and Gus put down your money, then stuck you with the monthly payments. I'm paying for a car I didn't know I was buying, for a sister who thinks I stole it from her, while your mom and her boyfriend used the rest of your money to play house. Jude leaned back in his chair. Avery, this isn't just favoritism, this is fraud. My phone buzzed. Another text from Caroline. Caroline. People are calling me at work about Mallory's video. You're embarrassing our entire family. I showed Jude the message. She's worried about being embarrassed? He laughed bitterly. Wait until people find out she scammed her own daughter. What do you think I should do? Depends. How public do you want to get? I pulled up Mallory's TikTok again. The view count was over 200,000 now. The comments were brutal. She made it public first. Then let's give the people what they want. The truth. Jude started typing on his laptop. I'm thinking a detailed Reddit post, aita format. Let the internet decide who the real villain is. You think that'll work? Honey, you've got documentation that would make a forensic accountant weep with joy. Bank records, loan papers, medical payment history, text message screenshots. This isn't he said, she said. This is mathematical proof that your family screwed you over. My phone rang. Mallory again. Don't answer it, Jude said. Let her leave a voicemail, more evidence. The voicemail notification popped up 30 seconds later. I put it on speaker. Avery, please call me back. Mum's crying, Gus is furious, and people are sending me horrible messages because of your stupid car thing. Just give me back my car and we can forget this whole thing happened. I promise I'll pay you back somehow. Please don't ruin our family over money. Jude raised an eyebrow. Pay you back somehow? For a car she didn't know she didn't pay for? She knew. She had to know. Course she knew. Nobody gets surprised with a $35,000 car and doesn't ask questions. Another text from Caroline. Gus says you're being vindictive and childish. This needs to stop. I showed Jude. Oh, Gus has opinions now? The guy who helped spend your money? Jude cracked his knuckles. You know what? Forget Reddit. Let's go nuclear. What do you mean? I mean, let's file a complaint with the DMV about fraudulent vehicle registration. Let's report the financial fraud to your bank. Let's make this official. That seems extreme. Avery, they stole $50,000 from you and then tried to make you look like the bad guy on social media. Extreme is what they deserve. My phone buzzed with a notification. Someone had found my work email and sent me a message calling me a psychotic sister and demanding I give Mallory her car back. They're contacting my job now. Jude's expression darkened. That crosses a line. Now it's affecting your career. So what do? We document everything, every message, every comment, every threat. Then we show the world exactly who your family really is. He pulled out his phone. But first, I think we need to have a conversation with Gus, man to man. Why? Because something tells me your mom isn't the mastermind here, and if Gus is the one pulling the strings, he's about to find out what happens when you mess with the wrong person's money. Jude's smile was sharp and cold. Trust me, Avery, by the time we're done, Mallory's TikTok is going to look like a children's bedtime story. I spent the next 3 hours crafting the most detailed Reddit post of my life, aita format, just like Jude suggested, with every receipt uploaded to Imgur. Aita for taking back the car I unknowingly bought for my sister. Posted in R. Amith Asshole. The post was a masterpiece of documentation, bank transfers with timestamps, screenshots of Caroline's desperate texts about medical bills, photos of the hospital payment records showing the debt was already settled, the car loan papers with my name, Mallory's Instagram post bragging about her gift. I hit submit at 2:47 p.m. By 4 p.m. it had 500 upvotes and 200 comments, all variations of NTA, your family is toxic. By 6 p.m., someone had cross-posted it to R raised by narcissists and R entitled parents. By 8 p.m., Mallory had deleted her TikTok. My phone rang, Caroline, obviously. Avery, what have you done? I told the truth. People are calling me a narcissist. They're saying I'm a terrible mother. Are you? How can you ask me that? I raised you. I sacrificed everything for you and your sister. You sacrificed my money for your boyfriend's rent deposit. Silence. It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. You lied about medical debt to steal my savings. I didn't steal anything. You gave me that money. Under false pretenses. That's called fraud, Mom. She started crying. I can't believe you're doing this to me, to our family. I'm not doing anything to our family. I'm exposing what our family really is. I hung up and immediately got a text from Mallory. Delete that post right now. Then another. You're ruining Mom's life. Then, everyone at work is asking her about it. Good. Jude called around 9 p.m. Holy shit, Avery. Your post is trending on Twitter now. Someone screenshot it and it's got like 50,000 retweets. Is that good or bad? For you, good. For them, very, very bad. I've been monitoring the comments, and it's like 95% people calling your mom and sister out. A few people are even sharing their own similar stories. What about the car? That's what I'm calling about. I think you should donate it. What? Hear me out. You don't want the car. You just wanted to make a point. But if you keep it, people might think this was about greed. If you donate it to charity, you look like a saint who only cared about justice. That's actually brilliant. I know a nonprofit that helps domestic abuse survivors get back on their feet. They have a program where they give cars to women who need transportation to escape bad situations. It would be perfect. Do it. Really? Yeah. Set it up. I want it done in my father's name. Your dad? He always said families should lift each other up, not tear each other down. He'd hate what they did to me. I'll make the calls tomorrow. The next morning, I woke up to 47 missed calls and 183 text messages. The Reddit post had exploded overnight. 15,000 upvotes, 2,000 comments, and awards I didn't even know existed. But the most important notification was an email from someone named Sonia Price. Subject: about your father's estate. Avery, I saw your story online and I think we need to talk. I was your father's business partner and the executor of his will. There are some things about your inheritance that your mother never told you. Can you call me? This is urgent. Sonia. I stared at the email. Inheritance? What inheritance? I called the number immediately. Sonia Price speaking. Hi, this is Avery. You emailed me about my father? Oh, honey, yes. I've been trying to reach you for years, but your mother always said you weren't interested in discussing your father's estate. What estate? My dad didn't have any money when he died. Long pause. Avery, your father left you and Mallory each $50,000 in a trust fund. You were supposed to receive yours when you turned 23. My legs gave out. I sat down hard on my kitchen floor. That's impossible. I never got any money. Because your mother told me you declined your inheritance. She had paperwork with your signature saying you wanted your share to go to Mallory instead. I never signed anything like that. Can you meet me today? I think you need to see these documents. Yes, where? My office, 2 p.m. And Avery? Bring a lawyer if you have one. I hung up and immediately called Jude. We have a problem, I said when he answered. What kind of problem? The kind where my mother might have forged my signature to steal my inheritance 6 years ago. Jesus Christ. How much money are we talking about? $50,000. On top of the 48 she already stole from you? Apparently. Jude was quiet for a long moment. Avery, if this is true, your mother didn't just lie to you about medical bills. She's been systematically stealing from you for years. I know. This isn't just family drama anymore. This is serious criminal fraud. I looked at my phone, still buzzing with notifications from the Reddit post. Hundreds of strangers telling me I was right, that my family was toxic, that I deserved better. Good, I said, because I'm done playing nice. Sonia's office was in a converted Victorian house downtown, the kind of place that screamed established family law practice. She was waiting for me in the lobby, a woman in her mid-40s with graying hair and kind eyes that looked tired. Avery, I'm Sonia. Thank you for coming so quickly. She led me to a conference room where manila folders were spread across a mahogany table like evidence at a crime scene. Before we start, I need to apologize. I should have reached out to you directly years ago, but your mother was very convincing. She said you were angry about your father's death and didn't want anything to do with his estate. I was never angry at my dad. I was 16 when he died. I barely understood what an estate was. Sonia opened the first folder. Your father set up trust funds for both you and Mallory when you were children, $50,000 each, to be distributed when you turned 23. Mallory received hers in 2019, right on schedule. She slid a document across the table. Mallory's signature, dated 3 days after her 23rd birthday. Clean, legitimate, notarized. What about mine? Sonia opened the second folder. This is where it gets complicated. The document she showed me had my name typed at the top, but the signature looked wrong. The A in Avery was too loopy, the Y too straight. It looked like someone had tried to copy my handwriting from a birthday card. I supposedly signed this when? According to the paperwork, you came to my office on March 12, 2018, 3 weeks after your 23rd birthday. You allegedly told me you didn't want the money and preferred it go to Mallory since she was struggling more. I've never been to this office before today. I was afraid of that. Sonia pulled out another document. This is the visitor log from that day. The signature here matches the one on the inheritance waiver. Both signatures had the same weird loopy A and straight I. Who brought you this paperwork? Your mother. She said you were too upset to come in person, so she was handling it as your representative. Did you verify it was actually my signature? Sonia looked embarrassed. I should have, but Caroline was so distraught, talking about how you blamed your father for leaving the family in debt, how you wanted nothing to do with his money. And honestly, it's not uncommon for beneficiaries to redirect inheritances to siblings who need help. Except I never said any of that. No, I don't think you did. I stared at the forged signature. So Mallory got $100,000 total, her 50 plus mine? Yes, she used it to pay off student loans and put a down payment on her first apartment. The apartment she lived in for 2 years before moving back in with Mom because she couldn't afford rent. I'm sorry, Avery. I should have insisted on meeting with you directly. My phone started buzzing. Caroline calling again. Don't answer it, Sonia said, not until we figure out your legal options. What are my legal options? Inheritance fraud is a felony. If we can prove your mother forged your signature, she could face criminal charges. Plus, you'd be entitled to the full $50,000 with interest. How much with interest? About $67,000. I did the math. The $48,000 she'd stolen for the car, plus $67,000 from the inheritance. Caroline had cost me over $100,000. There's something else, Sonia continued. I kept copies of all correspondence with your mother about this, including some emails that might interest you. She pulled out printed emails dated from 2018. From Caroline. To Sonia. Subject, Avery's inheritance. Sonia, Avery is being very difficult about this money situation. She keeps saying she deserves her father's money, even though she's doing fine financially. I think she's being greedy. Mallory really needs this help right now. Can we expedite the transfer? From Sonia to Caroline. Subject, Avery's inheritance. Caroline, I really think I should speak with Avery directly before processing this. It's unusual for someone to waive such a large inheritance without meeting with the executor. From Caroline to Sonia. Subject, Avery's inheritance. Trust me, this is what she wants. She told me herself she doesn't want blood money from her father. I'll bring the signed paperwork tomorrow. Blood money? I looked up at Sonia. She told you I called my dad's inheritance blood money? According to her, yes. My father was the most important person in my life. I would never say that. I believe you, and I think a handwriting expert would prove that signature is forged. My phone buzzed with a text from Mallory. Mom says you're trying to cause legal trouble now. This has to stop. Then another from Caroline. Sonia called me. I don't know what lies you're telling people, but this is going too far. I showed Sonia the messages. They know you're here? I called Caroline after you emailed me. I wanted to give her a chance to explain before I involved lawyers. What did she say? She hung up on me, then called back 5 minutes later screaming about how I was destroying the family and making up stories for attention. Sonia gathered the documents. Avery, I think you need to contact the police. This isn't just about money anymore. Your mother has been systematically defrauding you for years. Will they actually do anything? With this much documentation, yes, especially since she's still actively lying about it. I looked at the forged signature again. My name, but not my handwriting. My inheritance, but not my decision. Do it. Set up the police report. Are you sure? Once we file this, there's no going back. Your mother could face serious jail time. She should have thought about that before she decided to steal from her own daughter. Sonia nodded and reached for her phone. I'll call Detective Martinez. He handles white-collar crime. As she dialed, my phone lit up with another call from Caroline. This time I answered, Avery, please, we need to talk. We're done talking, Mom. My lawyer is calling the police right now. Your lawyer? Avery, don't do this. Think about our family. I am thinking about our family. I'm thinking about how you've been stealing from me for 6 years. I never stole anything. That money was meant to help both my daughters. By forging my signature and lying to everyone involved? Silence. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. And now everyone else will too. I hung up and turned off my phone. Detective Martinez can see us in an hour, Sonia said. Are you ready for this? I looked at the pile of evidence on the table. Bank records, forged documents, lying emails, stolen inheritance. I've been ready for 6 years. I just didn't know it yet. The police station smelled like burnt coffee and disinfectant. Detective Martinez was exactly what you'd expect from a white-collar crime investigator. Tired eyes, cheap suit, and the kind of patience that came from dealing with family financial drama all day. So, let me get this straight, he said, spreading our documents across his desk. Your mother told you she needed money for medical bills, but the bills were already paid. Then she used your money to buy your sister a car and move in with her boyfriend. That's just the recent stuff, I said. The inheritance fraud goes back 6 years. He picked up the forged signature document. This is pretty sloppy work. Your mother's not exactly a master criminal. Apparently she didn't need to be. Everyone just believed her. Detective Martinez made notes while Sonia explained the legal timeline. Bank transfers, forged documents, email evidence. It was all there in black and white. We'll need to interview your mother and sister, he said. Can you get them to come in voluntarily? I can try. I turned my phone back on. 17 missed calls from Caroline, 9 from Mallory, 3 from Gus. I called Caroline first. Avery, thank God. We need to fix this before it gets out of hand. It's already out of hand, Mom. I'm at the police station. The police? Avery, no, please don't do this to our family. Meet me at the downtown station in 1 hour. Bring Mallory and Gus. I'm not bringing anyone anywhere until you tell me what's going on. What's going on is that I have proof you forged my signature to steal my inheritance, and I have proof you lied about your medical bills to steal my savings. The detective wants to hear your side of the story. Long silence. This is insane. You're being manipulated by that lawyer woman. Her name is Sonia, and she was Dad's business partner. You remember Dad, right? The man whose money you stole from his daughter. I never stole anything from you. 1 hour, Mom. Downtown police station. If you don't show up, they'll come find you. I hung up and called Mallory. Avery, what the hell is happening? Mom is freaking out. Did you know about the inheritance? What inheritance? Dad left us each $50,000. You got yours in 2019. I never got mine because Mom forged my signature and gave you my share too. Silence. Mallory? Did you know? I thought you didn't want it. Mom said you were still angry about Dad dying and you wanted me to have it instead. When have I ever been angry at Dad? Never, but Mom said... Mom lied about everything. The medical bills, the inheritance, all of it. But I already spent that money. I can't give it back. You spent $100,000 in 3 years? Student loans, rent, the security deposit on my apartment, art supplies, that trip to Europe. The trip Mom said she paid for? She did pay for it. with the inheritance money. My inheritance money. Another long silence. Mallory, I need you to come to the police station. Now. Am I in trouble? That depends on whether you knew the signature was forged. I didn't. I swear I didn't know. Then come explain that to the detective. An hour later, they all showed up. Caroline looked like she'd aged 5 years in one day. Mallory was crying before she even walked through the door. Gus looked like he wanted to be anywhere else on Earth. Detective Martinez led us to a conference room and set up a recording device. This is an informal interview, he said. No one is under arrest, but anything you say can be used in a potential criminal case. Caroline sat up straight. There won't be any criminal case because no crime was committed. Mrs. Caroline, I have documents here showing you forged your daughter's signature to redirect her inheritance. That's a felony. I didn't forge anything. Avery signed those papers herself. When? Where? At Sonia's office in 2018. I've never been to Sonia's office before today, I said. Yes, you have. You came with me. Mom, stop lying. There's a visitor log. I wasn't there. Caroline's face went red. You're confused. It was a very emotional time. I'm not confused. You forged my signature and stole my money. I was protecting our family. You were being selfish and greedy, and Mallory needed help. Detective Martinez leaned forward. So you admit you signed the documents yourself? I signed them on Avery's behalf because she was too upset to handle it herself. That's called forgery, ma'am. Gus finally spoke up. Caroline, maybe we should get a lawyer. We don't need a lawyer because we didn't do anything wrong. Mom, Mallory said quietly, just tell the truth. I am telling the truth. Avery wanted Mallory to have that money. Then why did you lie about the medical bills? I asked. Why did you take $48,000 from me under false pretenses? Those weren't false pretenses. I had expenses. Like a down payment on your boyfriend's apartment? Caroline looked at Gus, then back at me. How did you... I know everything, Mom. The fake medical debt, the car loan in my name, the inheritance fraud, all of it. She started crying then. Real tears, not the manipulative kind. I just wanted to take care of both my daughters. Mallory needed help, and you were doing so well? By stealing from me? I was going to pay you back. When? How? You don't have a job and your boyfriend is broke. Gus stood up. I don't have to listen to this. Actually, you do, Detective Martinez said. Sit down, Mr. Davidson. We're not done. For the next hour, the whole ugly truth came out. The medical bills had been paid months before Caroline asked me for money. She and Gus had planned to use my savings to move in together and buy Mallory a car to keep her happy. The inheritance fraud was just a bonus, extra money they thought I'd never find out about. So, what happens now? Mallory asked. Detective Martinez looked at his notes. That depends on your sister. She's the victim here. If she wants to press charges, we have enough evidence for multiple felony counts. Everyone looked at me. I want my money back, I said. All of it. The $48,000 plus the $67,000 from the inheritance, plus interest. $120,000 total. Avery, we don't have that kind of money, Caroline said. Then you shouldn't have stolen it. What if we can't pay it back? I looked at my mother, the woman who'd raised me, who I'd loved and trusted and sacrificed for, and felt nothing but cold satisfaction. Then you'll go to jail. The settlement meeting happened 3 weeks later in Sonia's conference room. Caroline had hired a lawyer, a tired-looking public defender who kept checking his watch like he had somewhere better to be. My client is prepared to make a full restitution offer, he said, sliding papers across the table. I read the number, $45,000. That's not even half of what she owes me. It's all we can realistically recover, the lawyer said. Mrs. Caroline has agreed to sell her car and liquidate her savings account. Mr. Davidson will contribute his portion of the apartment deposit they used. What about the rest? Caroline spoke up. Avery, please, I don't have anything else. If you push this, I'll lose my job, my apartment, everything. You should have thought about that before you committed felony fraud. I'm your mother. You're a thief who happens to share my DNA. Mallory, who'd been silent until now, cleared her throat. I can pay back some of it. Everyone turned to look at her. I still have about $15,000 in my savings from the inheritance money. I can give that back. Mallory, no, Caroline said. That's your emergency fund. It was never really mine anyway. Mallory looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. I'm sorry, Avery. I should have questioned it when Mom said you didn't want Dad's money. That never made sense. What about the other $85,000 you spent? I can set up a payment plan. Maybe $500 a month? At $500 a month, it would take you 14 years to pay me back. I know, but it's something. I looked around the table, Caroline crying into tissues, her lawyer looking bored, Mallory genuinely trying to make amends, Sonia watching me with curious eyes. I have a counter-offer. Caroline's lawyer perked up. We're listening. $60,000 cash, today. We just told you we don't have $60,000, then get it. Sell the apartment, liquidate everything, ask Gus to contribute his share. I don't care how you do it. And if we can't, then I press charges and you go to prison. Your choice. Caroline's lawyer whispered something to her. She nodded frantically. We need 48 hours. You have 24. The next day, Jude called me at work. You're not going to believe this. I just drove past the lot where they towed the Lexus. There's a news van there. What? Channel 7? They're doing a story about your car donation, something about local woman turns family betrayal into charitable giving. How did they find out? Your Reddit post went mega viral. Someone connected it to the car donation, and now it's a feel-good news story. I pulled up the local news website. There it was. Woman donates $35K car to domestic violence shelter after family fraud. The article included quotes from the shelter director, photos of the car, and a brief mention of my family financial dispute that led to the donation. My phone started ringing immediately. Caroline, Avery, there are reporters calling me. They want to know about the car and the money and... Tell them the truth. I can't. It'll ruin my reputation, my job. You should have thought about that before you stole from me. Please, I'm begging you. I'll get you the $60,000. Just make this media attention stop. I can't control the media, Mom. The truth is out there now. That afternoon, Caroline's lawyer called. They had the money. The final meeting was surreal. Caroline handed me a cashier's check for $60,000 with shaking hands. Mallory transferred $15,000 from her account. $75,000 total. Not everything they owed me, but enough to make a point. There's one more thing, I said as they prepared to leave. Caroline looked up hopefully. I'm blocking all of you on everything. Phone, email, social media. Don't contact me. Don't show up at my apartment. Don't try to reach me through friends. Avery, we're still family. No, we're not. Family doesn't steal from each other. Family doesn't lie and manipulate and gaslight each other. You're strangers who happen to share my last name. Mallory started crying again. What if there's an emergency? What if something happens to Mom? Then call 911. Don't call me. I stood up and walked toward the door. Avery, wait. It was Caroline. One last desperate attempt. Your father wouldn't want this. He'd want his family to stick together. I turned back to face her. Dad left me an inheritance because he wanted to take care of me. You stole it because you wanted to control me. Don't you dare use his memory to justify what you did. I walked out of that conference room and didn't look back. The next morning, I woke up to a text from an unknown number. Saw the news story, you're my hero, a fellow scapegoat daughter. Then another, your Reddit post helped me realize my family was financially abusing me too. Thank you. And another. Standing up to toxic family takes guts. Proud of you. My phone buzzed with a call from Jude. So how does it feel to be free? I looked around my quiet apartment, at my bank account that finally had money in it again, at my phone that wasn't constantly buzzing with guilt trips and manipulation. Expensive, I said, but worth every penny. Any regrets? I thought about Caroline crying in that conference room, about Mallory's genuine apology, about the family photos I'd thrown away the night before. Just one. What's that? I should have done this 6 years ago. Well, better late than never. What's next for the newly liberated Avery? I smiled, looking out my window at a world that suddenly felt full of possibilities. Whatever I want. And for the first time in my life, I don't have to ask permission. They didn't know who they were messing with when they decided to steal from me. Now neither do I. And that's exactly how I like it.